The ancients taught that the world outside is a mirror of the world within, a reflection of our own state of being. But what if there is a language in that reflection we have forgotten how to read? A silent language, spoken not in words, but in the very air between us. It is felt in the sudden tension of a quiet room, in the unspoken understanding between two strangers, in the collective sigh of a crowd. This is the language of atmosphere, of energy, of presence. It is the art of reading the air. This is not a mystical power reserved for the few. It is a dormant faculty of the human soul, an inner sense that has been drowned out by the noise of the modern world, a world that has taught us to listen only to what is said and to ignore what is truly being communicated. We navigate our lives with a compass that only points to the spoken word, and so we find ourselves lost, wondering why our interactions feel hollow, why our successes feel empty, why we feel a constant, low-level friction with the world around us. We try to connect through carefully chosen phrases, yet we miss the vast ocean of truth that lies in the pauses between them. We try to assert our will through argument, yet we are powerless against the silent, invisible currents of a room's collective emotion. This journey we are about to embark upon is a homecoming. It is a process of reawakening that dormant sense. It is about learning to silence the inner static so you can finally hear the subtle broadcast of reality itself. This is not a manual on how to please others or how to manipulate social situations for shallow gain. That is the way of the ego, the path of fear. This is a journey into a deeper power, a power that comes from alignment with truth. It is the path of learning to navigate the world with a calm, clear awareness, to act from a place of profound inner knowing rather than from anxious guesswork. It is a shift from being a person who is unconsciously affected by every energetic shift in their environment to becoming the person whose very presence can anchor the energy of a room. This is the path of social awakening. It begins now, not with a great effort, but with a simple turning of your attention, a willingness to perceive what has always been there, waiting to be noticed. The door is open. Let us step through. Let us begin with a simple truth, a truth so fundamental that it is woven into the fabric of your very breath. The world you perceive is not a collection of separate, solid objects. It is not a stage of disconnected actors. The world, in its deepest reality, is a single, immense, and continuous field of vibration. The chair you are sitting on, the walls around you, the light filtering through the window, they feel solid, they seem distinct. But these are perceptions, interpretations of a reality far more fluid, far more interconnected. Ancient wisdom traditions spoke of this as prana, as chi, as the aether. Modern physics whispers the same truth, telling us that at the heart of all matter lies not solidity, but oscillating strings of energy in vast emptiness. You are not a solid entity moving through a dead and empty world. You are a pattern of energy existing within a larger, dynamic field of energy. You are inseparable from it. Your every thought, your every emotion, your every unspoken intention is a vibration that you broadcast into this field, altering its very texture, its very color, its very quality. This is not a metaphor. It is the operational reality of consciousness. Now, imagine this field as a vast, perfectly still body of water, stretching to an infinite horizon. This is a space in its pure, unoccupied state. It holds potential, a quiet hum of possibility. When you walk into a room, you are like a single drop of rain falling onto this pristine surface. Your state of being at that moment, your joy, your anxiety, your peace, your angerous, the quality of that drop. It strikes the water and sends out ripples. These are not random. They are a perfect, immediate, and honest signature of your inner world, radiating outwards. Now, another person enters. Another drop, with its own unique signature, creating its own set of ripples. Suddenly, the patterns begin to interact. They meet, they merge, they amplify each other, or they cancel each other out. This is where the atmosphere of a room is born. This is the silent, invisible dance that dictates the entire experience of being together. Think of a time you entered a house where a bitter argument had just occurred. No one spoke a word of it. The television might have been on, a forced smile might have greeted you, but what did you feel? The air itself felt thick, heavy, sharp. You could almost taste the resentment. The ripples of anger and hurt were still oscillating violently through the space, long after the shouting had stopped. Your body registered this. Perhaps your shoulders tightened, your breathing became shallow, your mind went on alert. You were not imagining it. You were reading the field. Conversely, recall the feeling of stepping into a place of deep peace, a sunlit forest, a quiet cathedral, a home filled with genuine love. The air feels lighter, clearer. The silence is not empty, but full. It is a nourishing silence. Your body responds instantly. Your muscles relax. Your heart rate slows. You feel safe. You feel welcome. You have entered a space where the ripples are harmonious, where the collective energy is one of expansion and acceptance. You did not need a sign on the door to tell you this. Your being simply knew. The words we use are merely the foam on the surface of this deep ocean. We have become obsessed with the foam. We analyze it, debate it, cling to it. We believe the words are the conversation, but the true conversation, the one that determines everything, is happening in the silent depths below. The powerful undercurrents of emotion, the unseen tides of intention, the deep gravitational pull of shared history, this is the real territory. You can stand on the shore and watch the surface waves of polite conversation, all while a dangerous undertow of unspoken competition is swirling around your ankles, threatening to pull you into a drama you do not understand. To read the air is to stop looking at the foam and to start feeling the ocean. It is the shift from hearing to sensing. This is why you can sit in a business meeting where every word spoken is professional and courteous, yet you feel a knot tightening in your stomach. The words are calm, but the undercurrent is fear. The agenda is about collaboration, but the silent tide is one of rivalry. Your logical mind, clinging to the spoken words, might tell you that everything is fine. It might even call your feeling irrational. But your body, that exquisitely sensitive instrument, is reading the deeper truth. It is telling you that the field is in a state of contraction, of defense. It is providing you with vital information that your intellect alone cannot access. To ignore this information is to navigate your life with one eye closed. It is to willingly walk into invisible storms. Recognizing this truth is the first step. The second is to understand your role within it. You are not a passive observer of this field. You are not a helpless cork tossed about on its waves. You are, and have always been, a co-creator of it. The energy you carry is your contribution, your vote for what the collective atmosphere will be. When you walk into a room consumed by your own anxiety, you are feeding the field with the vibration of fear. You are strengthening any existing ripples of worry and creating new ones. When you enter a space holding on to a silent judgment, you broadcast a frequency of separation, and the field responds in kind. You cannot hide this. You can mask it with a perfect smile and flawless words, but your energetic signature does not lie. It is the one truly honest thing about you at any given moment. This is not a cause for blame, but a cause for empowerment. It means you are not a victim of your circumstances. It means you possess a profound and overlooked power, the power to influence the very reality you inhabit simply by tending to the quality of your own being. Before you speak a word, before you perform an action, your presence has already announced you. It has already begun to interact with the water. The question then is not just what you want to say or what you want to do. The more fundamental question is, who are you choosing to be right now? What quality of energy are you choosing to broadcast into the shared space of the world? Do you bring peace or do you bring turmoil? Do you offer the clear, resonant vibration of authenticity or the jagged, dissonant static of a mind at war with itself? This is the great work. It begins with this foundational understanding: the world is alive, it is responsive, and you are not separate from it. You are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe. Every space you enter is a conversation, and most of it is unspoken. Learning to read the air is learning the language of this conversation. But to learn any new language, you must first be able to listen, and to listen to the subtle whispers of the world around you, you must first persuade the shouting voices within your own mind to be still. So, now that we understand the nature of the field, how do we begin to truly perceive it? How do we fine-tune our own instrument? We must start by learning to silence the inner static. Before you can hear the subtle symphony of the world, you must first quiet the orchestra of chaos in your own mind. There is a voice in your head. It is likely speaking right now, commenting on these words, judging them, analyzing them, perhaps agreeing or disagreeing. It is the narrator, the planner, the worrier, the critic. It has been with you for so long that you have come to believe that this voice is you. But it is not. It is a tool that has become the master, a mechanism that never shuts off. This incessant stream of compulsive thinking is the inner static, the noise that drowns out the signal of reality. To believe you can accurately perceive the delicate, unspoken truths of the world while this internal monologue is screaming is like trying to hear a feather fall in the middle of a rock concert. It is an impossibility. The first and most crucial step in learning to read the air is to learn to create pockets of silence within yourself. Imagine your mind is a radio. For most of us, this radio is not tuned to any one clear station. Instead, the dial is constantly spinning, catching fragments of broadcasts, bursts of static, and the loud hum of its own machinery. The dial spins to the station of yesterday, replaying old conversations, reliving past hurts, bathing in the bitter comfort of regret. Then it spins to the station of tomorrow, broadcasting endless loops of anxious scenarios, to-do lists, and catastrophic what-ifs. It will pause for a moment on the station of judgment, offering a running commentary on everyone you see, everything you do, and most mercilessly, on yourself. This is the inner static. It is a relentless, exhausting noise that consumes your attention and drains your life force. When you walk into a room, this radio is still on, strapped to your very being. Someone speaks to you, and their words are immediately filtered through the noise. You are not truly listening to them. You are listening to your radio's commentary about their words. You are hearing their tone through the filter of your past experiences. You are planning your response before they have even finished their sentence, because the station of tomorrow insists that you must be prepared. You miss the subtle shift in their eyes, the slight hesitation in their voice, the energetic signature of their true feeling, because your attention is not on them, it is on the static. To silence this static is not an act of violence. You cannot shout at the radio to be quiet. That is just more noise. You cannot force the thoughts to stop. That is just another form of struggle, another station on the dial called the spiritual striver. The act of silencing the static is an act of profound gentleness. It is an act of withdrawal. You simply stop giving the noise your attention. You let it play, but you are no longer the captivated listener. You become the space in which the radio plays. Imagine your consciousness as a vast, open sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, the entire broadcast of the radio are merely clouds passing through. Some are dark and stormy, some are light and wispy. But you are not the clouds. You are the sky. The sky does not fight the clouds. It does not cling to the beautiful ones or desperately push away the ugly ones. It simply allows them to be, to arise, and to pass, knowing that its own vast, silent nature is untouched by their coming and going. This is the practice. Right now, as you listen, can you become the sky? Can you become aware of the voice in your head, the chatter of the radio, as just one phenomenon happening within your field of awareness? Notice it without judgment. Notice its tone. Is it rushed, anxious, critical, or needy? You do not have to engage with it. You do not have to believe its stories. You do not have to answer its demands. Simply notice it, as you would notice a bird singing outside your window. This simple act of noticing, of witnessing, is the beginning of freedom. In the space between a thought and your identification with that thought, a sliver of silence is born. At first, it may be fleeting, just a second or two. But in that second, the radio dial stops spinning. In that second, there is no static. And in that second, for the first time, you can truly hear. When you cultivate this inner stillness, the world begins to reveal itself in high definition. The practice is to carry this awareness with you, off the meditation cushion and into the laboratory of human interaction. When you are speaking with someone, the practice is to keep a portion of your attention within, on your own inner state. Am I listening, or am I preparing my reply? Am I present with this person, or am I lost in my radio's broadcast about them? When you enter a meeting, the practice is to take one conscious breath and become the sky, allowing the initial impressions and judgments to float by without grabbing onto them. This creates a space for a deeper perception to arise. Suddenly, you will begin to notice things you never noticed before. You will notice the way a person's energy contracts when a certain name is mentioned. You will feel the collective mood of the room lift when one person offers a piece of genuine encouragement. You will perceive the unspoken question behind the spoken one. This information was always available, always being broadcast. It was simply that your own inner noise was too loud to allow it in. This is a skill, a muscle that strengthens with practice. There will be days when the static feels overwhelming, when the radio seems welded to your ear. Do not despair. This is part of the process. The goal is not a permanent, empty silence. The goal is to develop the ability to return to the silence, to find the stillness that is always there, underneath the surface of the noise. It is the ability to, at any given moment, choose to become the sky instead of the cloud. When you cease to be consumed by your own internal drama, you become available to the reality of the present moment. You are no longer projecting your past fears and future anxieties onto the world. Instead, you are receiving the world as it is. Your perception becomes clear, clean, and unpolluted. And as this clarity grows, as the inner static subsides into a background hum rather than a foreground scream, you will begin to notice something magical. You will realize that the primary instrument for perceiving this newly revealed world is not your mind or your ears, but your very own body. In the quiet space you have created, you will start to feel the truth long before you think it. Your body is the most sophisticated and honest sensing tool you will ever own. In the profound quiet that emerges when the mind's static subsides, a different kind of intelligence begins to speak. It is an ancient, primal wisdom, and its language is not one of words, but of sensation. Its home is your body. For too long, we have been taught to treat the body as a mere vehicle for the mind, a machine to be fed, exercised, and otherwise ignored until it breaks. We have been conditioned to believe that true intelligence resides in the logical, rational brain. Yet, how many times have you found yourself saying, "I knew it. I should have trusted my gut"? That phrase is a lament for a forgotten truth. Your body is not a dull instrument. It is the most sophisticated, sensitive, and honest compass you will ever own. It reacts to the truth of a situation long before your analytical mind has had time to process the facts, construct a narrative, and arrive at a conclusion. When you learn to read the air, you are learning to read the language of your own physical being. Imagine your body as a finely crafted harp with strings made of nerve fibers, muscle, and fascia. Each string is tuned to a state of perfect equilibrium. When you enter a vibrational field, as we have discussed, you are stepping into a sea of frequencies. The energy of that space, its truth, its emotional tone washes over you and through you. Your body, the harp, responds instantly. A frequency of authenticity, compassion, or safety is harmonious. It creates a beautiful resonant chord within you. The strings of your body hum with a pleasant vibration. This is the feeling of your shoulders dropping as you enter a friend's home. It is the deep, easy breath you take when someone speaks to you with genuine kindness. It is the warmth that spreads through your chest in a moment of true connection. Your body is saying, yes. It is signaling a state of expansion, of openness, of safety. Conversely, a frequency of dishonesty, fear, or aggression is dissonant and jarring. It strikes the harp with a discordant clang. The strings tighten instantly. They contract to protect themselves from the grating noise. This is the knot in your stomach when you are being told a lie, even if the words are convincing. It is the sudden clenching of your jaw during a tense negotiation. It is the inexplicable chill that runs down your spine when you meet someone whose smile does not reach their eyes. Your body is screaming no. It is signaling a state of contraction, of defense, of danger. This is not imagination. This is biology. These frequencies trigger real neurochemical reactions, real muscular tensing, real shifts in your nervous system. Your body is a lie detector of unparalleled accuracy, and its needle is the feeling of expansion or contraction. Your mind can be fooled. The mind is a storyteller. It loves narratives and is easily swayed by a charismatic speaker, a well-reasoned argument, or the pressure of social convention. The mind might listen to a manipulative proposal, dressed in the language of mutual benefit, and say, "This makes logical sense." But the body, the compass, feels the dissonant undercurrent of greed or deceit and sends a signal of contraction, a tightness in your throat, a hollow feeling in your core. For years, you have been taught to ignore that signal, to override the wisdom of the compass with the flawed logic of the mapmaker. You have been told your feelings are irrational, that you are being too sensitive. The journey of awakening is the journey of reversing this hierarchy. It is the process of learning to honor the body's immediate knowing as primary data and the mind's subsequent analysis as secondary. Trust the compass first. The mind can draw the map later. Begin to create a dictionary of your body's unique language. Become a gentle, curious scientist of your own sensations. When you wake up in the morning, where do you feel the day? When you think about a particular person, what is the first physical sensation that arises? Do not judge it, just notice. For many, the language is clear. A feeling of tightness or sinking in the solar plexus is a sign of fear or a boundary being crossed. A clenching in the throat signifies an unspoken truth, something that needs to be said. A heavy, tired feeling in the limbs can be the residue of being in a draining, energetic environment. On the other hand, a feeling of lightness and warmth in the chest often signals joy and connection. A calm, centered feeling in your core is the signature of being in your own power, aligned with your truth. Start to use this awareness in your daily life. Before you say yes to a request, pause. Take a breath. Check in with your body. Is it expansive or contracted? The answer it gives you is the honest answer, free from the mind's desire to people, please, or avoid conflict. When you are listening to someone speak, listen with your whole body. Are their words creating a feeling of resonance or dissonance inside of you? The body knows who is nourishing and who is toxic. That feeling of exhaustion you experience after spending time with certain people is not a character flaw. It is your compass providing you with an accurate energy reading. You have been in a field that required your body to contract, to defend, to expend enormous energy simply to maintain its own equilibrium. It is a sign to be honored, a piece of crucial information for your own well-being. Reframe your sensitivity. If you are a person who feels things deeply, who can walk into a room and instantly feel the mood, you have not been cursed, you have been gifted. Your harp is simply tuned to a higher degree of refinement than most. You are able to perceive subtleties in the vibrational field that others, with their loud inner static and dulled senses, completely miss. For your entire life, you may have experienced this as a burden, a source of overwhelm. But when you learn to trust it as your compass, it becomes your superpower. It is the intuitive edge that guides you away from harmful situations and towards authentic connections. It is the inner oracle that helps you navigate the complexities of life with grace and wisdom. Do not let a world that celebrates numbness convince you that your feeling is a flaw. Your feeling is your guide. So, let your body be your anchor in the present moment. Let it be the unwavering needle of your compass, always pointing to the true north of your inner reality. Listen to its whispers, and you will never have to hear it scream. Trust its subtle signals of expansion and contraction, for they are the most reliable feedback you will ever receive. They are the truth, unadorned. This bodily intelligence tells you, with unfailing accuracy, what is happening in the energetic field. It tells you if you are in a state of resonance or dissonance, but it does not always tell you why. As you learn to trust these feelings, a new question will naturally arise. Why does this person's energy cause my body to contract? What is it within me that is resonating with their fear or recoiling from their arrogance? The compass points to a disturbance in the field, and very often, that disturbance shows us a reflection of ourselves. To understand the why, we must be willing to look into the mirror that every person and situation holds up to us. The body tells us what is true. The law of reflection begins to tell us why it is true for us. Your body, your infallible compass, has told you what you are feeling. It has signaled a state of expansion or contraction, of resonance or dissonance. Now, we arrive at the profound and often challenging question of why. Why does a particular person's presence make your stomach clench, while another's brings an immediate sense of ease? Why does one person's comment pass by you unnoticed, while another's, seemingly innocuous, lodges in your mind and festers for days? The answer lies in one of the most powerful and transformative principles of consciousness, the law of reflection. The world does not happen to you, it happens for you and through you. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, is a mirror. What you see, and more importantly, what you feel when you look into that mirror, is not a perfectly objective reality. It is a reflection of your own inner state, your own beliefs, your own unacknowledged light and shadow. To learn to read the air is, fundamentally, to learn to read yourself in the mirror of the world. Let us begin with the most difficult aspect of this law, the negative reflection. Think of a person who irritates you, someone who provokes a strong, visceral reaction of judgment or anger within you. Perhaps it is their arrogance, their perceived victimhood, their loudness, or their insecurity. The intensity of your reaction is the key. This intense emotional charge is a signal, a flashing light on your inner dashboard, telling you that what you are seeing in them is a disowned part of yourself. This is the shadow self-an aspect of your own psyche that you have repressed, denied, and deemed unacceptable. Because you cannot bear to see it in yourself, you project it outward and attack it fiercely when you see it in another. The world, in its infinite intelligence, will relentlessly send you mirrors of your own shadow until you have the courage to turn around and face it within yourself. Consider the arrogant person who makes your blood boil. The conventional response is to label them as egotistical and remove yourself. The conscious response is to pause and ask, what is this mirror showing me? Perhaps their arrogance is reflecting a deep, unacknowledged fear of your own insignificance. Or perhaps it is mirroring a secret, repressed desire for recognition that you have labeled as unspiritual or unworthy. Your anger is not truly at them. It is at the uncomfortable resonance they create inside you, the way they make a sleeping part of your own shadow stir. Consider the person who complains constantly, playing the victim. Your intense annoyance might be a reflection of the part of you that refuses to ask for help, the part that prides itself on a rigid self-sufficiency. Their behavior threatens your carefully constructed identity, and so you judge them for it. Their presence is a mirror to your own disowned neediness. This is not to say their behavior is skillful or that you must condone it. The behavior is theirs. The reaction, the intense emotional charge, is yours. It is a map, leading you home to a fragmented piece of your own soul. This law also works in the most beautiful of ways, through the positive reflection. Think of someone you deeply admire, someone whose courage, creativity, wisdom, or compassion inspires you. When you feel that powerful pull of admiration, you are not just seeing their greatness. You are seeing a reflection of your own highest potential. That quality you admire in them exists as a seed within you, waiting for the light of your recognition to awaken it. They are mirroring your own golden shadow, the magnificent parts of yourself you have yet to own and embody. If you are drawn to someone's incredible courage, it is because the potential for that same courage lies within you. If you are moved by another's profound compassion, it is because your own heart holds that same capacity for love. They are not better than you. They are simply a living reminder of a promise you made to yourself, a reflection of the person you are capable of becoming. To admire them without envy, to celebrate their light, is to water that same seed within your own soul. Understanding this principle transforms the very nature of human interaction. It is a profound shift from blame to responsibility. It is not about making everything your fault. It is about recognizing that every reaction is an opportunity for self-discovery. When you walk into a room and the air feels thick with judgment, the old way is to think, "These people are so judgmental. This place is toxic." You become a victim of the atmosphere. The new way, the conscious way, is to hold a two-part awareness. First, you honor your compass. My body is feeling a contraction, a sense of being judged. Then, you consult the mirror. What is my relationship with judgment? Do I fear being judged? Am I judging them for being judgmental? Where in my own life am I withholding approval from myself or others? This inner inquiry is the key. It does not mean the judgment isn't there in the room. It means you are choosing to use its presence as a tool for your own liberation, rather than as a reason for your own suffering. When you begin to practice this, your ability to read the air becomes infinitely more accurate. You start to disentangle the objective data from your subjective projection. You can feel the energy of arrogance in a room, for example. But because you have made peace with your own relationship to arrogance, it no longer triggers you. It is simply information. You can observe it with a neutral, compassionate clarity, like a scientist observing a chemical reaction. You are no longer hooked by it. You are free from it. And in that freedom, you can choose the most effective and authentic way to respond, rather than being dragged into an unconscious, reactive drama. You stop being a participant in the shadow play and become a conscious observer. And from that place of observation comes true power and wisdom. Take a moment now. Bring to mind a person who causes a strong negative charge in you. Get a clear sense of them. Now, name the single quality that bothers you the most. Is it their need for control, their dishonesty, their passivity? Hold that quality in your mind. Now, with radical, unflinching honesty, ask yourself these questions. In what area of my life am I controlling? Where have I been dishonest, with myself or others? Where do I act with passivity when I should be taking a stand? Do not look for an identical, full-blown expression. Look for the seed of it, the subtle echo, the hidden fear of it. The inquiry itself is the medicine. The willingness to look in the mirror is the beginning of healing the inner split that causes the outer reaction. By understanding this law of reflection, you realize that the world is not your enemy, it is your teacher. The people who challenge you the most are not your adversaries. They are your most dedicated, if unwitting, spiritual guides. They are delivering a message directly from your own soul, pointing to the places within you that are calling for attention, for healing, for integration. They show you the locks on the cages you have built for yourself. This realization frees us from the heavy burden of blame and resentment. We can now look upon others not as threats or obstacles, but as messengers in disguise, each one carrying a crucial piece of the puzzle of our own becoming. There is a powerful and sacred opportunity hidden within your moments of greatest emotional distress. We call them triggers. The word itself implies a weapon, an external force that causes an explosion inside of us. It is a sudden heat in the chest, a tightening of the throat, a red curtain of rage, or a gray wave of shame that descends without warning. Our instinct, forged from a lifetime of conditioning, is to identify the source of the attack, the person who made the comment, the driver who cut us off, the situation that didn't go our way, and to hold it responsible for the pain we are feeling. We spend our precious life force blaming the one who pulled the trigger, obsessing over their injustice, their ignorance, their cruelty. But this is a profound misinterpretation of the event. It is a mistake that keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering, forever at the mercy of the world around us. The person or situation that triggers you is not the source of your pain. They are merely the messenger. Imagine that deep within you there are old, unhealed wounds. They are like letters containing the potent emotions of your past, letters of fear from a childhood where you felt unsafe, letters of shame from a time you were belittled, letters of grief that were never fully expressed. For years, you have refused to open this mail. You have pushed it down into the basement of your consciousness. Now, imagine an emotional trigger as a mail carrier, sent by your own soul, knocking on your front door. The knock is the trigger-thee comment. The look, the event, the intense, overwhelming emotion you feel is the sound of the knocking echoing through your house. Our typical reaction is to storm to the door and scream at the mail carrier. We analyze their uniform, criticize their knock, blame them for disturbing our peace. We chase them off our property and feel a fleeting sense of victory. But the letter, the source of the original pain, remains undelivered, sitting in the mailbag, waiting for the next carrier to be sent. And so, the pattern repeats. The universe, in its infinite compassion, will keep sending messengers to your door until you finally understand that the problem isn't the knocking. The problem is the unopened letter. To decode your emotional triggers is to learn to welcome the messenger. It is to cultivate the courage to stop shooting the messenger and instead turn from the door, walk to the mailbag, and finally read the mail. The next time you feel that flash of intense emotion, that signal of being triggered, try this radical practice. First, pause. Do not speak, do not act. Take one conscious, deliberate breath. This single breath is a sacred pause that breaks the hypnotic spell of unconscious reaction. It is the moment you reclaim your power. In this pause, you shift your entire frame of reference. Instead of projecting your focus outward onto the messenger, you bring it inward, to the sensations in your body. Feel the heat, the tightness, the vibration. This is the energy of the unopened letter. Now, with your attention turned inward, you silently thank the messenger. This is not an act of forgiveness in the traditional sense, or an absolution of their behavior. It is an act of profound self-interest. You are thanking them for delivering this precious information, for illuminating a part of you that has been living in the dark, crying out for healing. You are thanking them for showing you the exact location of one of your cages. In that moment of gratitude, you cease to be a victim. You become a student of your own life, an alchemist turning the lead of emotional pain into the gold of self-awareness. With this new perspective, you can finally ask the real question. You gently hold your awareness on the painful sensation in your body, and you ask it, what is the message here for me? What is this letter trying to tell me? And then you listen. The answer may not come in words, but in a feeling, an image, a memory. When your boss dismisses your idea, and you feel a surge of rage far greater than the situation warrants, you ask the question. The letter you find might be from the 10-year-old you, whose creative impulses were constantly ridiculed by a critical parent. The rage you feel today is not just about a business meeting. It is the unexpressed rage of that child. Your boss did not create the wound, they merely pressed upon it. And in doing so, they have given you a priceless gift, the opportunity to find that wounded part of you, to see it, to comfort it, and to finally give it the validation it never received. You can now offer yourself the compassion that was missing back then. You can, in essence, become the parent to your inner child that you always needed. This practice transforms your relationship with the world. You are no longer living in fear of the next trigger, because you now understand its true purpose. You see each trigger not as an attack, but as an invitation to go deeper, an invitation to heal, an invitation to become more whole. Your triggers become your guides, your most powerful teachers, pointing with unerring accuracy to the exact places where you are not yet free. The people who provoke you the most are no longer your enemies. They are your unwitting allies in liberation, holding up a lantern in the dark corridors of your own psyche. When you can stand in the presence of someone who would have once sent you into a spiral, and you can feel the old sensation arise without being consumed by it, you know you are free. You can feel the knock at the door, but it no longer has the power to command your entire being. You can simply notice it, acknowledge the letter it carries, and choose to remain in the peaceful center of your own home. When we stop fighting the messengers, when we stop being consumed by the drama of our own reactivity, a vast new space opens up in our perception. We are no longer deafened by the sound of our own internal alarms. We are free to listen. We are available to perceive the more subtle communications that are always unfolding around us. We have learned to hear the message from our own soul, and this practice fine-tunes our hearing for the messages of the world. And we soon discover that the most profound messages, the deepest truths of any interaction, are rarely found in the loud, triggering words. They are found in the quiet, empty spaces that surround them. They are found in the eloquence of silence. We have learned to welcome the messenger, to decode the triggers that reveal our own unhealed wounds. This practice of turning inward creates a new kind of quiet within us, a stillness that allows us to perceive the world with startling new clarity. In this quiet, we are now ready to listen not just to the messages from our own soul, but to the deepest messages of the world around us. And we will discover a profound secret. The most essential communication between human beings does not happen in the realm of sound. It happens in the realm of silence. Our modern world is terrified of silence. We treat it as an absence, a void, a social failure. It is an awkwardness to be filled at all costs. We flood our ears with music and podcasts. We fill our conversations with nervous chatter. We stuff every available moment with the noise of distraction. Even our inner world is a relentless cacophony of thought. This addiction to noise is a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the discomfort of simply being present. But in our frantic flight from silence, we have rendered ourselves almost completely deaf to the true language of connection. We have become experts in the spoken word, yet we are infants in the art of unspoken understanding. The truth is that silence is not empty, it is full. It is not an absence, but a presence. It is the canvas upon which the meaning of our words is painted. And for too long, we have been staring only at the paint. Let us return to the image of the vibrational field as an ocean. If this is so, then the words we speak are merely islands. They are tangible points of reference, solid ground we can identify and name. We spend our lives sailing from island to island, believing the journey is about the landmasses we visit. We say, "I went to the island of I love you," or "We had a long and difficult stay on the islands of disagreement and apology." We analyze the topography of these islands, the meaning of the words, but we have forgotten that what gives the islands their shape, their context, and their very existence is the vast and powerful ocean of silence that surrounds them. The silence is the medium through which everything travels. It is the ocean that determines whether the journey between two islands is calm and easy, or treacherous and stormy. The same word, the same island, can be a tropical paradise or a barren rock, depending on the quality of the silent water around it. Imagine the word fine. Someone asks how you are, and you reply, "I'm fine." If those words are an island situated in a calm, sunlit sea of comfortable silence, the message is one of genuine well-being. But if the very same words, "I'm fine," are spoken as a rocky outcrop surrounded by a churning, icy sea of tense, resistant silence, the message is the opposite. The silence has completely inverted the meaning of the word. The silence is communicating the truth. The word is merely the socially acceptable camouflage. To read the air is to become an oceanographer of silence. It is to stop being a mere island hopper and to start understanding the currents, the depths, and the tides of the space between the words. To do this, we must first learn to distinguish between the different kinds of silence. For silence is not a monolithic entity. It is a rich and complex language with its own grammar and vocabulary. Let us explore some of its dialects. First, there is the pregnant pause. This is a silence brimming with unspoken energy, a space where something new is about to be born. It often occurs right before a momentous decision is announced, a difficult truth is spoken, or a creative idea is offered. The air in a pregnant pause feels electric, alive. It crackles with potential. Our nervous, noise-addicted selves rush to fill this silence. We interrupt, we prompt, we say, "So." We do this because the sheer energy of the potential makes us uncomfortable. But to do so is to abort the birth. The great art of communication is to learn to recognize this silence, to hold the space, to become a calm and patient midwife for the truth that is seeking to emerge. When you feel it, simply breathe. Stay present. Your quiet holding of the space is a powerful act of service, allowing the other person to gather the courage to bring forth what needs to be said. Then, there is its opposite, the resistant silence. This is not a space of potential, but a fortress. It is the silence of a person who is actively withholding, defending, or protesting. It is a wall built of unspoken disagreement or resentment. This silence feels heavy, dense, and oppositional. When you encounter it, you can feel your own energy being deflected. It is a palpable force field. A person using resistant silence is often communicating no more powerfully than the word itself could ever convey. Trying to breach this wall with more words is often futile. It is like throwing pebbles against a castle gate. The only way to engage with this silence is to first acknowledge it. To say, "I sense there is something you are not saying," or "I feel a resistance here," is to show that you are listening to the ocean, not just the islands. This honors their unspoken communication and may, just may, invite them to lower the drawbridge. A more gentle dialect is the reflective silence. This is the quiet moment that follows a meaningful question. When you ask someone a question that matters and they fall silent, they are not ignoring you. They are honoring your question by journeying inward to find an honest answer, not just a pre-programmed superficial one. This silence is a sign of respect and integrity. It is a sacred space of inner contemplation. To interrupt it is an act of profound disrespect. It is to say, "Your truth is less important than my comfort." When you witness a reflective silence, the most empowering thing you can do is to join them in it. Let your own mind become still. Hold the space with a quiet, patient presence. You are giving them the safety and time they need to retrieve a piece of their authentic self. And the answer that eventually emerges from that stillness will be infinitely more valuable than any glib, immediate reply. Contrast this with the empty silence. This is the silence of disengagement. It feels hollow, vacant, and disconnected. The person is physically present, but their consciousness has left the room. Their eyes may be glazed over, their energy is flat. You are speaking to a shell. This is not a fortress wall like resistant silence. It is an abandoned house. There is no energy being actively projected. There is simply an absence. To recognize this silence is crucial. It is telling you that the connection has been lost. Continuing to speak into an empty silence is like leaving a voicemail on a disconnected number. The only skillful action is to stop. and perhaps gently try to re-establish the connection by shifting the energy or asking a simple, direct question to invite their presence back. And finally, there is the most sublime dialect of all, the shared, comfortable silence. This is the silence that exists between two people who are so deeply in resonance that words are no longer necessary. It is the silence between old friends sitting together, watching a sunset. It is the quiet of two lovers lying in the dark, their breathing synchronized. This silence is not empty, it is utterly full. It is filled with a sense of peace, trust, and mutual acceptance. It is a conversation of the soul, a communion of two energy fields that are in perfect harmony. In this silence, you are nourished. You feel seen, understood, and safe without a single word being exchanged. It is the destination we are all seeking in our connections, and it can only be reached when we are no longer afraid of the journey across the ocean. So, how do we practice this? You begin by becoming a connoisseur of silence in your own life. In your next conversation, make it your intention to listen to the spaces. When the other person pauses, resist the immediate urge to fill the void. Take a conscious breath instead. Feel the quality of that specific silence. Is it pregnant? Is it resistant? Is it reflective? What is happening in your own body during that pause? Does your chest tighten? Do you feel a jolt of anxiety? That is your own conditioning, your own fear of the void, rising to the surface. Breathe into it. Allow it. By simply allowing the silence to exist, you create a space of profound safety and possibility. You will be astonished at what emerges. Often, the most vulnerable, honest, and important statement of an entire conversation will come directly after a pause that you have had the courage to hold. This is not a passive practice. This is the most active and generous form of listening imaginable. You are listening to the totality of the person, their words, and the rich, meaningful silence that gives those words their true color. You are communicating without words, that you are not in a hurry, that you are not just waiting for your turn to speak, that you are genuinely present to whatever wants to be expressed. This journey into the heart of silence is the final preparation for truly perceiving the vibrational field. Words are the products of the analytical mind, with its labels and its definitions. Silence, however, is the native language of the body, the soul, and the unified field itself. As you become more comfortable with external silence, you will find your own internal static naturally begins to quiet down. The outer and inner worlds are mirrors. In the stillness, with the chattering mind at ease, you can finally feel the raw, unfiltered energy of a space. You can feel the subtle undercurrents of emotion, the unspoken dynamics of a group, the deep truth of a moment. You are no longer being distracted by the scattered islands of spoken language. You are now at home, in the vast, intelligent, and eloquent ocean of being. Listening to this silence has taught you to feel the currents of energy, their ebb and their flow. And to navigate these currents with wisdom and purpose, you now need a vocabulary to describe them. We must now explore the two primary states of all energy, the two primal poles that govern every interaction, the state of expansion and the state of contraction. As we learn to dwell in the rich landscape of silence, we become sensitive to the subtle currents of energy that flow through it. We can feel them, but to navigate them with wisdom, we need a language, a map. The universe, in its infinite complexity, is built upon a simple and elegant binary. It is the primal rhythm of existence, the in-breath and the out-breath of the cosmos. It is the pulse of life itself. This rhythm is composed of two fundamental movements, two primary states of being, expansion and contraction. Everything in creation, from the unfurling of a galaxy to the response of a single-celled organism, can be understood through this lens. And most importantly for our journey, every human interaction, every emotional state, and every social atmosphere is an expression of one of these two primal energies. To learn to read the air is to learn to discern the difference between them. Let us begin with the body, our ever-present compass. take a slow, deep breath. Feel your lungs fill with air, your ribcage rise and widen, your diaphragm descend. This is the physical sensation of expansion. It is a feeling of openness, of taking in life, of becoming larger. Now, exhale fully. Imagine a sudden, startling noise behind you. Feel that instinctive, instantaneous reaction in your body, the tensing of your muscles, the slight hunch of your shoulders, the pulling in of your energy towards your core. This is the physical sensation of contraction. It is a feeling of defense, of shielding, of becoming smaller. These are not just mechanical actions. They are the language of life itself, speaking through you. Expansion is the energy of yes. Contraction is the energy of number. Now, let us apply this to your energy field. Imagine your own aura, your presence, as a delicate flower. When you are in an environment that feels safe, trusting, and authentic, the flower naturally opens. Its petals unfurl to receive the sunlight of connection. This is the state of expansion. In this state, your posture literally opens. Your breathing is deep and regular. Your voice is more resonant. Your mind is more creative, generous, and open to new ideas. You feel at ease, present, and willing to be vulnerable. This is the energy you feel when you are laughing with a dear friend, when you are engrossed in work that you love, or when you hear a piece of music that touches your soul. The field around you is open, warm, and inviting. It is the signature of trust, love, and creativity. Conversely, imagine you are in an environment that feels threatening, judgmental, or false. The flower of your energy field instinctively closes to protect its vulnerable center. Its petals retract, its form tightens. This is the state of contraction. In this state, your posture closes in on itself. Your shoulders may round forward, your jaw may clench. Your breathing becomes shallow, held high in the chest. Your voice may become thinner or tighter. Your thoughts become narrow, defensive, and focused on survival. You are scanning for threats, looking for an escape route. This is the energy you feel when you are being criticized, when you suspect you are being deceived, or when you are in the presence of unspoken anger. The field around you is tight, cool, and defensive. It is the signature of fear, doubt, and suspicion. This binary is the most fundamental tool you have for reading the air. Before you analyze a single word, before you interpret a single gesture, you can take an energetic reading of a space by asking one simple question. Does this atmosphere feel expansive or contractive? Walk into a room where a team is brainstorming, excited by a new project. You can feel the buzz, the lightness, the openness. The collective energy is expansive. The room itself seems to have more space in it. Now, walk into that same room an hour later, after the project has been harshly criticized by a superior. Even if everyone is sitting in silence, you can feel the shift. The air feels heavy, tight. The collective energy has become contractive. The space itself feels smaller, more claustrophobic. Your body registers this shift immediately. Learning to trust that initial holistic feeling is paramount. This same tool applies to individuals. As you interact with another person, attune your awareness to your own state. Does being in their presence cause your own flower to open or to close? Some people radiate a natural field of expansion. Their inner state of acceptance and authenticity creates a safe harbor for others. In their presence, you feel yourself relaxing, opening up, becoming more of your true self. You can breathe more deeply. Others, often because of their own unresolved fear or pain, broadcast a field of contraction. Being with them feels draining. You may find yourself unconsciously tensing your muscles, holding your breath, or feeling a need to create physical distance. Your compass is not judging them. It is simply giving you an accurate reading of their energetic broadcast and how it affects your own. This dynamic is especially clear when we look at the energy of truth and falsehood. Truth, even a difficult truth spoken with compassionate intent, has an expansive quality. It clears the air. It may be painful, but it feels clean. It creates a sense of clarity and solid ground. Authenticity resonates with the universe's fundamental nature, and this resonance feels like an opening, a release of tension. Falsehood, on the other hand, is always contractive. Lies, manipulation, passive aggression, and hidden agendas create a tangled, dissonant energy. Your body feels it as a subtle tightening, a feeling that something is off. The words may be pleasant, but the energy behind them makes your flower want to close. This is the feeling you get when a salesperson is flattering you with an insincere compliment. Your mind hears the compliment, but your body feels the contractive energy of their agenda, and it recoils. It is crucial to remember that you are not merely a passive thermometer registering these states. You are an active broadcaster, a thermostat influencing the very environment you are perceiving. What state are you bringing into a room? When you enter a conversation consumed by your own anxiety about the outcome, you are broadcasting a contractive field. You are adding to the collective tightness. When you approach an interaction with judgment and suspicion, you are radiating a defensive energy that will almost certainly be met with a similar defense from the other person. You create the very reality you fear. However, when you enter a space from a place of presence, grounded in your body, with a heart that is open and an agenda that is clean, you broadcast a field of expansion. You become a harmonizing force. Your calm presence can be the catalyst that allows a contracted, fearful space to begin to relax and open. Your genuine listening can be the invitation that coaxes another person's closed flower to unfurl. This is not about being artificially positive. It is about the profound power of a regulated, authentic presence. It is a form of silent leadership that can transform the dynamics of a family, a team, or any human system. Learning to recognize these two primal energies is like learning to see in color after a lifetime of black and white. It simplifies the chaos. It gives you a reliable, immediate framework for understanding what is happening beneath the surface of things. It is the essential language of the vibrational world. But of course, human beings are complex. We are rarely in a purely open or purely closed state. We have learned to hide our true feelings, to present a brave face when we are scared, or a pleasant one when we are angry. We have mastered the art of creating a discrepancy between our inner state and our outer presentation. Recognizing the simple flow of expansion and contraction is the first step. The next is learning to perceive the incongruity that arises when someone wears a mask to hide their true energetic state. We have learned to read the primary language of energy, the fundamental binary of expansion and contraction. We can now sense the energetic tide of a room, a conversation, or a person. But the human experience is rarely so simple. We are masters of disguise, artists of concealment. To navigate the world, to protect our vulnerable core, we have all learned to wear a mask. This mask is known in psychology as the persona, the curated version of ourselves that we present to the world for approval and survival. To achieve the highest level of awareness, we must learn to distinguish between the mask and the true self, both in others and, most importantly, in ourselves. To read the air is to perceive the subtle energetic dissonance that occurs when the mask a person is wearing does not match the truth of the energy they are feeling. Think of the persona as a suit of armor or an elaborate costume. When we are young, we begin to assemble it piece by piece. We take a plate of armor from our parents' expectations, a helmet from the demands of our culture, a shield from the pain of past rejections. We forge an identity that we believe will keep us safe and help us succeed. We become the responsible one, the funny one, the intellectual, the spiritual seeker, the tough guy, the nice girl. These are roles, costumes designed for the stage of social life. There is nothing inherently wrong with this costume. It is a natural and often necessary tool for navigating a complex world. The danger does not lie in the wearing of the armor. The danger lies in forgetting that we are wearing it. The tragedy is when we begin to believe the cold, hard metal of the persona is our own warm, living skin. When we are reading the air, we are learning to see the cracks in the armor. We are learning to sense the living, breathing person inside the costume. We do this by detecting incongruence. Incongruence is the mismatch between the presented, outer performance and the true, inner energetic state. It is the dissonance between the mask and the soul. Consider the leader who stands before their team, projecting a mask of absolute confidence. The words they use are expansive. We are winning. The future is bright. I have no doubts. Their posture is a performance of power. Their voice is loud and certain. The mask is one of pure expansion. But as you stand in their presence, your compass, your body, feels a subtle but persistent undercurrent of contraction. You feel a tightness in the air, a frantic, nervous energy buzzing just beneath the surface of their bravado. You might notice their smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, or a subtle tremor in their hand. These are the cracks in the armor. Your body is not fooled by the performance. It is reading the true signal, the contractive energy of fear and desperation. To read the air in this moment is to understand, with compassion, that you are in the presence of a frightened person wearing the heavy costume of a confident leader. Or consider the colleague who wears the mask of perpetual niceness. Their words are always agreeable. They smile constantly. They offer to help. They never complain. Their persona is a performance of pure, selfless expansion. Yet, when you spend time with them, you often leave feeling inexplicably drained and heavy. While their words are open, your own energy field instinctively contracts in their presence. Your compass is detecting a deep undercurrent of unexpressed resentment, of passive aggression. The mask says, "It's no problem at all," but the true, contractive energy field is screaming, "This is deeply unfair and I am furious." This incongruence, this dissonance between the sweet mask and the bitter energy, is what creates the feeling of being in an unsafe, untrustworthy environment. Your body knows that unexpressed anger is far more dangerous than anger spoken with honesty. This principle also works in reverse. You may encounter a person who wears a mask of stoic indifference or even gruffness. Their words are clipped. They avoid vulnerability. They present a contractive wall of self-sufficiency. This is their armor. But on occasion, you may feel from behind that wall a gentle, warm, and expansive energy. You sense a deep capacity for kindness and a longing for connection that their mask will not allow them to show. Their contractive armor is protecting a soft, expansive heart. To read this is to have a profound insight into their true nature, to see the gentle soul hiding within the fortress. The energetic signature of authenticity, by contrast, is congruence. When a person is being authentic, their inner state and their outer expression are aligned. Their words, their body language, and their energy field all tell the same story. There is no dissonance. An authentically joyful person radiates an expansive energy that is undeniable. It shines from their entire being. An authentically sad person, while radiating a contractive energy of grief, feels clean and real. Their vulnerability is, in its own way, a form of openness that invites true connection. An authentic, contractive no, spoken clearly and without apology, feels far safer and creates more trust than a resentful, masked yes. Authenticity is the absence of incongruence. It is the frequency of reality, and our bodies, our compasses, are exquisitely designed to recognize it, because on a deep level, the soul is always listening for what is real. Now, we must turn this perceptive gaze inward. This is the most challenging and most rewarding work. What masks do you wear? Take a moment to consider the primary roles you play in your life. The competent professional, the patient parent, the good friend, the spiritual person. What are the rules of this costume? What emotions are you allowed to express, and which ones must you hide? The competent professional may not be allowed to show confusion or fear. The spiritual person may not be allowed to show anger or envy. Notice when you put on the mask. Is it with a particular person, in a particular environment? Notice the subtle internal shift when the mask goes on. It takes energy to hold a mask in place. It requires a low-level, constant muscular and energetic tension to maintain the performance. What vulnerable part of your true self are you trying to protect with this mask? Are you afraid that if people saw the real you, the you that is sometimes confused, or needy, or angry, or uncertain, that you would be rejected, that you would not be loved? This inquiry is not for the purpose of self-judgment. It is for the purpose of compassionate self-liberation. The goal is not to violently tear off the mask, but to gently, lovingly become aware of it. By simply noticing the mask, by feeling the tension it creates, you begin to loosen its hold on you. You create the possibility of allowing a small flicker of your authentic self to shine through. You create the possibility of choosing, in a small moment, to be real instead of safe. As we become more adept at seeing through the masks, both our own and others, we begin to see the common thread that runs through all of humanity's performances. We see the insecure person behind the arrogance, the frightened person behind the anger, the lonely person behind the indifference. We see that beneath the vast and varied wardrobe of human personas, there is a single, universal fear that powers the entire masquerade. It is the deep, primal fear that our true self, unadorned and unarmored, is fundamentally not enough. It is the fear that if we show who we really are, we will not be worthy of love, of belonging, of life itself. And understanding this common wound is the key that unlocks the door to true compassion. Let us now speak of the great lie. It is the invisible ghost that haunts the banquet of life, the phantom whisper that has poisoned the well of human connection for millennia. It is the foundational myth upon which the entire frantic, fragile, and painful architecture of the ego is built. This lie is a simple, devastating thought, a seed of lack planted in us so young we mistake it for a part of our own soul. It is the belief that you are not enough. It is the secret, gnawing fear that you are somehow fundamentally deficient, that you are missing a crucial piece, and that you must spend your entire life striving, struggling, performing, and competing to hide this original flaw. This single, false belief is the source code of almost all human suffering, and it is the primary pollutant of the energetic atmosphere between us. To understand this, imagine you believe yourself to be a candle. Your worth, your light, your very essence is a small, flickering flame. It is fragile, finite, and vulnerable. The world, in this view, is a vast, dark, and windy room filled with other candles. Every other flame is a potential threat. If another candle shines too brightly, you fear it will consume the available oxygen or cast a shadow over your own meager light. So you live in a state of perpetual, low-grade anxiety. You cup your hands protectively around your flame. You are constantly on the defensive, guarding what little light you believe you have. This is the paradigm of not enough. It is a life lived in a state of energetic contraction. It breeds competition, because you believe there is a scarcity of light. It breeds jealousy, because another's success feels like your failure. It breeds falseness, because you must wear a mask to hide the terrifying secret that your flame is small and in constant danger of being extinguished. When you walk into a room from this belief system, you are, on a deep, energetic level, a beggar. You are unconsciously scanning the room for validation, for a source of fuel, for a reflection that will assure you that you are still burning. Your interactions are not about connection, they are transactions. You offer a compliment in the hopes of receiving one. You listen not to understand, but to find a gap where you can insert your own story to prove your intelligence or importance. The air around you is thick with the contractive energies of neediness, fear, and competition. When a room is filled with people who all believe they are candles, the collective atmosphere becomes suffocating. It is a silent, desperate battlefield where everyone is fighting for the same scraps of approval. There is no ease, no trust, no authentic presence. There is only the frantic, exhausting work of protecting your own flame. But now, consider a different possibility, a truth so radical it can shatter the foundations of that lifelong prison. What if you are not a candle? What if you have been profoundly mistaken about your own nature? What if you are the sun? A sun does not worry about its light. A sun's very nature is to radiate. It does not try to shine. It simply is shine. Its light is not finite. It is an inexhaustible expression of its own being. A sun does not see other suns as competition. It knows that the universe is vast enough to contain all light, and that all light ultimately comes from the same source. A sun does not need to hoard its warmth. Its glory is in the giving of it. To shine upon another does not diminish a sun. It is the fulfillment of its purpose. This is the paradigm of I am enough. This is the truth of your being. Your worth is not a fragile flame to be protected. It is an inherent, radiant, and indestructible quality of your soul. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to prove it. You only have to realize it. This realization is the great liberation. When you begin to operate from this truth, the entire dynamic of your life changes. You stop being a beggar and you become a host. You walk into a room not with the needy, contractive question of, am I acceptable here? But with the calm, expansive offering of, here I am. You are no longer seeking anything from the room. You are bringing something to it. The gift of your own settled, non-competitive presence. Your very being becomes a source of warmth and light. When you, as a sun, enter a room of anxious candles, a miracle occurs. You are not a threat. You are not trying to steal their oxygen or overshadow their flame. Because you are not competing, your presence is profoundly calming. Your steady, radiant warmth creates a zone of safety around you. In this safety, the other candles may feel their own frantic flickering begin to calm. They can stop guarding their flame so defensively because they sense no aggression from you. Your presence, without saying a word, communicates that there is no scarcity here. There is enough light, there is enough warmth, there is enough space for everyone. You change the atmosphere simply by embodying the truth of your own abundance. From this place, generosity is no longer a strained effort. It is a natural overflow. A sun does not calculate how much light to give, it just shines. When you know you are enough, you can celebrate another person's success with genuine joy, because it takes nothing from you. You can listen with your full attention, because you are not waiting to prove your own worth. You can offer praise that is clean and real, because it comes from a place of fullness, not a desire to get something in return. You begin to act from a deep inner well of abundance, and the world in turn reflects that abundance back to you. This is not a concept to be understood by the mind alone. The mind, the architect of the candle prison, will fight this truth fiercely. It will bring up all the evidence of your past failures, all the proof of your supposed unworthiness. This truth must be felt in the body, in the soul. Take a moment, close your eyes. Feel the energy in your chest, in your core. Silently, like a sacred vow, repeat this ancient truth to your own being. I am. I am enough. Feel the resistance of the old lie. Feel the part of you that wants to argue and deny it. Acknowledge that part with compassion, as you would a frightened child. And then, gently, return to the truth. I am enough. Notice what happens in your body. Notice the subtle shift from contraction to expansion. Notice the loosening in your shoulders, the deepening of your breath. This is the feeling of coming home. This is the frequency of your true nature. To let go of the lifelong war to prove yourself is the most powerful act you can ever undertake. It does not mean you become passive or inert. A sun is a dynamic, creative, powerful force. It simply means you stop wasting your immense energy on the futile project of seeking worthiness outside of yourself. All that energy, the energy that was consumed by worry, by comparison, by defensiveness, by performances, now liberated. It is now available to be used for a much higher purpose. It can now be channeled, focused, and directed with clarity. It can be used not to beg from the world, but to create in it. This liberation from the struggle for worth is the prerequisite for discovering the true power of your own focused, conscious intention. By embracing the profound truth that you are inherently enough, you have reclaimed a vast territory of energy that was once squandered on the battlefield of self-doubt and competition. You have called your power home. This liberated energy is now a potent, creative force at your command. The question shifts from, how do I survive, to, what do I choose to create? We now move from the receptive arts of perceiving and understanding to the generative art of conscious creation. We move from reading the air to writing it. The tool for this sacred act of writing, the pen you will use to script your reality, is the power of your own focused intention. Intention is not a wish. A wish is a passive, hopeful plea sent out into the universe, born from a sense of lack. I hope this meeting goes well. Intention is not a goal. A goal is a desired external outcome, a destination in the future. I want to win this contract. Intention is something far more immediate, more powerful, and more fundamental. Intention is the conscious act of choosing the specific energetic quality you will broadcast into a situation. It is the deliberate tuning of your own being to a chosen frequency before you engage with the world. It is an act of creation that begins within you. It is the decision to be the cause, rather than the effect. Imagine you are about to enter a room for an important family discussion. As you approach the door, you can already sense the chaotic music of the orchestra inside. One person is playing the shrill, anxious note of worry. Another is playing the heavy, resentful note of an old grudge. A third is playing the distracted, bored note of wanting to be elsewhere. This is the default atmosphere, the energetic soup created by a group of unconscious broadcasters. The typical approach is to walk in, be hit by this wall of chaotic sound, and unconsciously begin to play a reactive note that matches the discord. You become anxious in response to their anxiety or defensive in response to their resentment. The practice of intention is to pause at the door. In this sacred pause, you do not listen to the orchestra inside. You listen to the silence within you. You become the conductor of your own being, and you consciously choose the single, clear musical note that you wish to contribute to the symphony. Perhaps you choose the warm, resonant note of compassion. Perhaps it is the clear, crystalline note of clarity. Perhaps it is the deep, steady, grounding note of peace. You do not simply think of the word. You must embody its frequency. You take a breath, and you generate the feeling of peace within your own body. You let it fill your chest, relax your shoulders, and settle in your core. You tune your entire being to this one pure note. Now, when you open the door and step inside, you do not add to the chaos. You introduce a new, coherent frequency into the field. You hold your note. You do not force it upon others. You simply radiate it with your presence. The effect is profound. Your clear note of peace, held without effort, begins to resonate in the turbulent field. The person playing the anxious note may feel their frantic rhythm begin to slow, unconsciously tuning to your calm. The person holding the note of resentment may feel the hard edges of their anger soften slightly in the presence of your compassionate frequency. You are not controlling them. You are inviting them, on a deep energetic level, into a more harmonious state. You are demonstrating a different possibility. This is the power of bringing a conscious intention into an unconscious environment. This is a skill you can apply to every area of your life. Before you make a difficult phone call, pause. Ask yourself, what energy do I choose to bring to this call? Instead of focusing on the outcome, focus on your contribution. Perhaps you choose the intention of respectful listening. Embody that feeling, the openness, the patience. Then, make the call. Before you sit down to work on a creative project, pause. Instead of being driven by the pressure of the deadline, set an intention to embody joyful and inspired flow. Feel that expansive, creative energy in your body first. Then, begin your work. Before you interact with your children after a long day, pause. Instead of bringing the contractive energy of stress into your home, set the intention to be a loving and patient presence. Embody that warmth. Then, open the door. The mechanics are simple, but their power is limitless. It is a three-step process. 1. The pause. Create a space between the stimulus of the world and your response. One conscious breath is all it takes. 2. The choice. Ask, what quality do I intend to embody? And choose a specific, positive, energetic state. Clarity, courage, openness, grace. 3. The embodiment. This is the critical step. Close your eyes and generate the physical, emotional feeling of your chosen intention as if it is already true. Feel courage in your spine. Feel openness in your chest. Feel grace in your posture. You are pre-paving your energetic path. You are becoming the frequency you wish to experience. When you master this, you cease to be a victim of circumstance. You are no longer a leaf blown about by the changing winds of other people's moods and energies. You become a conscious architect of your experience. You realize that the atmosphere of a room is not a fixed reality you must endure, but a malleable field that you can influence. This is the true meaning of co-creation. You are partnering with the universe, offering a clear, conscious frequency and inviting reality to harmonize with it. This practice is the very essence of moving from a contractive, fear-based life to an expansive, love-based one. The candle, believing it is not enough, enters a room hoping to get something: approval, validation, control. Its intention, often unconscious, is to take. The sun, knowing it is enough, enters a room intending to bring something: warmth, clarity, peace. Its intention is to give. And because its giving is a natural overflow of its being, it does not deplete itself. It only becomes more fully what it is. The power of this practice can feel almost magical as the world begins to rearrange itself around your clear, energetic signal. But there is a paradox at the heart of this magic, a subtle and crucial key to making it work. You can direct the full power of your being into setting a clear intention, into becoming the note you wish to play. But for that note to have its full effect, for it to ripple out into the field and work its harmonizing wonders, you must simultaneously let go of any and all attachment to a specific outcome. You must plant the seed of your intention with absolute focus, and then you must open your hand and trust the seed to the soil of the universe. This is the final, crucial art of wielding your power, the profound wisdom of detachment. We have arrived at the heart of a great and sacred paradox. We have spoken of the immense power of focused intention, of becoming the conductor of your own energy, of consciously choosing the note you wish to play in the orchestra of life. It is a thrilling and empowering realization. Now, I must tell you that the secret to unlocking the full potential of this power lies in an act that appears to be its exact opposite: the profound and graceful art of surrender. This is the paradox of power. To truly create, you must also release. To truly guide, you must also let go. This may sound contradictory to the logical mind, the part of us that has been trained to strive, to control, and to force outcomes. But the ego's way is one of friction and struggle. The soul's way is one of flow, trust, and effortless grace. The key that bridges these two is detachment from outcome. Let us imagine an archer. This archer has a powerful bow and a perfect arrow. This is your intention. The target stands 50 yards away. This is your desired result. Now, consider the attached archer. His entire being is fixated on the target. His mind is consumed with the thought of hitting the bullseye. But beneath that desire is the whisper of its shadow, the fear of missing. This fear is a contractive energy. It makes his breath shallow. It creates a subtle tremor in his hands. It makes his shoulders tense and his movements rigid. He is trying to will the arrow into the target, to force the outcome with the sheer intensity of his need. As he releases the string, his form is compromised by this tension, this desperate wanting. The shot is crooked. The arrow flies wide. His attachment to the outcome has sabotaged his own intention. This is a metaphor for a life lived in a state of attachment. It is tense, anxious, and its frantic efforts often repel the very success it craves. Now, consider the master archer, the one who understands the paradox of power. Her focus is not on the distant target. Her focus is entirely on the process, on the sacred present moment of the shot. She pours 100% of her intention, her awareness, into the perfection of her form. She feels the solid earth beneath her feet, the smooth wood of the bow in her hand. She executes the drawing of the string with a slow, meditative grace, a movement she has practiced into a state of effortlessness. Her breath is deep and calm, synchronized with the drawing of the bow. Her gaze is clear and focused. Her entire universe in that moment consists of the bow, the arrow, the breath, and the release. The target is almost an afterthought. She falls in love with the act of shooting, not the result of the shot. She gives her absolute all to the part of the process she can control, and then, at the peak of her form, she releases the arrow. In that moment of release, she also releases the outcome. The arrow is no longer hers. It belongs to the wind, to the air, to the universe. She has done her part. She stands in a state of peaceful surrender. And paradoxically, this absolute presence in the action, combined with this complete surrender of the result, is what creates the perfect shot. This is the model for a powerful and peaceful life. Your work is to become the master archer. Pour all of your focused intention into the quality of your action in this present moment. When you are writing an email, pour your soul into crafting each sentence with clarity and purpose. When you are having a conversation, pour your being into the act of listening with compassion. When you are creating, pour your love into the thing you are making. Be impeccable in your process. This is where your power lies. But you must, at the same time, relentlessly practice releasing your white-knuckled grip on the outcome. You must send the email and then let go of whether you get the reply you want. You must speak your truth in the conversation and then let go of whether the other person agrees with you. You must create your art and then let go of whether it receives praise or criticism. Your part is the effort. The outcome is the universe's concern. Let us look at the energetics of this. Attachment is always born from the myth of not enough. It is a contractive state. When you are attached to an outcome, you are broadcasting a powerful frequency of need, lack, and fear. You are energetically screaming into the field, "I will not be whole if this doesn't happen. I need this to validate me. My happiness depends on this external event." This needy, anxious, contractive energy creates a dissonant field around you. It is like trying to grow a beautiful garden by constantly clenching the soil in a tight, fearful fist. Nothing can grow in such a constricted space. You choke off possibility. You repel the very opportunities you seek because your energy communicates desperation, not readiness. Detachment, however, is born from the truth of "I am enough." It is a profoundly expansive state. When you are detached from the outcome, you are broadcasting a powerful frequency of trust, wholeness, and freedom. You are energetically communicating, "I am already whole and complete, regardless of what happens. My peace is not contingent on this result. I am open to whatever outcome serves the highest good." This expansive, open, trusting energy creates a powerful, harmonious vacuum that invites the universe to rush in with creative solutions. You are planting your seed of intention in a wide, open, fertile field. You are allowing space for miracles. By letting go of your narrow fixation on one specific outcome, you open yourself up to 1,000 other possibilities, some of which may be far more magnificent than anything your limited mind could have conceived. When you release your demand for one particular door to open, you may suddenly notice that a much larger, more beautiful gate has been standing open for you all along. It is absolutely crucial to understand that detachment is not apathy. This is a common and dangerous misunderstanding. Apathy is the state of not caring. It is a lifeless, contractive state of disengagement. The apathetic person says, "It doesn't matter what I do, so why bother?" They do not draw the bow at all. They have given up their power. Detachment is the opposite. It is a state of caring so deeply about the quality of your action that you are willing to surrender the egotistical need to control the result. The detached person says, "Because this matters, I will give my absolute best to the process, and I will trust that the outcome will be what it needs to be." It is the difference between a student who doesn't care and doesn't study, and a master student who studies with immense passion and focus, but is not emotionally destroyed by the final grade. They find the joy and the learning in the act of studying itself. Detachment is not disengagement. It is engaged surrender. So, how do we practice this in the heat of a moment when our conditioning to control takes over? You begin by noticing the feeling of attachment in your body. It is a physical sensation. It is a clenching in your gut, a tightening in your jaw, a feeling of mentally and physically leaning forward, trying to force something to happen. When you feel this clench, this is your signal. It is your cue to practice the art of opening your hand. In that moment, you can use a simple mental tool, a mantra of release. As you feel the clench of attachment, you can breathe in and on the out-breath, silently say to yourself, "I release this outcome for the highest good of all." Or, "My part is the impeccable effort. The result is not my responsibility." Or simply, "I trust the process." This conscious thought, coupled with a conscious relaxation of the clenched parts of your body, begins to rewire your nervous system. You are training yourself to choose trust over fear. Another powerful practice is to deliberately expand your vision of an acceptable future. Attachment fixates on a single scenario, Plan A, as the only path to happiness. Detachment intentionally broadens this focus. When you find yourself obsessing over Plan A, consciously ask yourself, what would Plan B look like? And how could it be even better for me in the long run? What if a Plan C, something I cannot even imagine right now, is the universe's true intention for me? This mental game loosens the ego's desperate grip on a single outcome and cultivates a genuine curiosity and excitement for the unknown. It transforms fear of the future into a trusting adventure. When you master the dance between focused intention and graceful detachment, you achieve a state of profound inner freedom. You are powerful, yet peaceful, engaged, yet at ease. You are no longer a slave to your hopes and fears. This inner state of clean, calm, detached awareness is the ultimate platform for clear perception. When you are not constantly projecting your desires and anxieties onto the world, you are finally free to see the world as it is. You are free to listen without an agenda. This liberation from the need to control reality allows you to practice an even higher, more subtle art of perception. The art of listening not just to words, but to the truth behind the words. With the full instrument of your being, the state of detached awareness, born from a deep trust in the unfolding of life, creates a profound stillness within you. When you are no longer desperately trying to manage, control, and predict the world, you are finally free to truly perceive it. Your inner space is no longer cluttered with the anxious projections of hope and fear. It is open, clear, and receptive. From this sacred clearing in the forest of the self, you are now able to learn the highest of all the relational arts, an act so rare and powerful it can feel like a form of magic. This is the art of listening with your whole being. We believe we know how to listen. We have been doing it our whole lives. But what we typically call listening is something else entirely. It is, for most of us, simply waiting for our turn to speak. It is a strategic pause, not a true receiving. As another person talks, our mind is furiously at work. We are not listening to them. We are listening to our own internal commentary about them. We are preparing our rebuttal, formulating our clever response, searching their words for a flaw we can exploit to make our own point. We are listening like a lawyer. To listen like a lawyer is to enter a conversation as if it were a courtroom. The other person is on the witness stand, and you are the cross-examining attorney. Your goal is not to understand, but to win. You are sifting through their testimony for inconsistencies, for evidence to support your preconceived case. Your mind is a flurry of activity, judging, analyzing, criticizing, and preparing your closing argument. This is an act of the ego. It is inherently contractive, defensive, and aggressive. While you are engaged in this inner battle, you are completely unavailable to the person in front of you, and they feel it. On an energetic level, they sense that they are not safe, that they are being judged, that this is not a connection but a competition, and so they, in turn, contract. They become more defensive. Their masks become thicker. The chance for any real, authentic communication dies before it has a chance to breathe. Now, imagine a different way. Imagine learning to listen like a sanctuary. A sanctuary is a holy place. It is empty, silent, and safe. A sanctuary has no agenda of its own. It does not argue with those who enter. It does not judge them or try to change them. Its sole purpose is to be a loving, accepting, and unwavering presence. Its power is in its stillness, its emptiness. To listen like a sanctuary is to offer the other person the sacred space of your own quiet, non-judgmental awareness. It is to silence your inner lawyer, to release your agenda, to let go of your need to be right. Your only intention becomes the pure, unconditional receiving of another human soul. This is not a passive act. It is the most active and engaged form of attention you can possibly offer. It requires you to listen on 3 channels simultaneously. The first channel is the most obvious. You listen to the words. You listen with your mind, but you listen in a new way. You are not just registering the dictionary definition of the words. You are noticing the choices. What specific words did this person choose to express themselves? What metaphors do they use? What words do they seem to avoid? Is their language filled with feeling and sensory detail, or is it abstract, intellectual, and distant? The vocabulary itself is a clue to their inner world. The second channel is deeper. You listen to the music. You listen with your heart. The music is the emotional tonality behind the words. It is the rhythm, the pace, and the pitch of their voice. A person might be saying, "Everything is fine," but if the music is fast, brittle, and high-pitched, you know the emotional truth is one of anxiety. Another might be recounting a simple story, but if the music is slow, heavy, and weary, you know you are listening to the sound of exhaustion or grief. The music is often more honest than the lyrics. To listen with your heart is to feel the emotional frequency they are broadcasting, regardless of the words being used. It is to ask, what is the feeling that wants to be heard here? The third channel is the deepest of all. You listen to the energy. You listen with your entire being, with the compass of your body that we have been cultivating throughout this journey. As they speak, what is happening in the shared energetic field between you? Is it expanding or contracting? Does their energy feel congruent and clear, or dissonant and masked? Are they leaning in with open, expansive energy, or are they pulling back with a contractive, defensive shield? Listening with your soul is about sensing the truth of their presence beneath both the words and the music. It is this channel that tells you if their smile is authentic, if their anger is clean, or if their confidence is a mask for fear. To listen in this way, on all 3 channels, is one of the most profound gifts you can offer another human being. In a world where everyone is starved for attention, where every person is silently screaming to be seen and heard, the one who can offer the sanctuary of their presence is a healer. Your silent, focused, non-judgmental listening communicates more love and respect than 1,000 hollow compliments. It says to the other person, without words, "I see you. You matter. What you are feeling is valid. You are safe here." In the sacred space of your listening, their own defenses begin to melt. Their masks begin to dissolve. Their soul feels safe enough to come out of hiding. In your sanctuary, they find the courage to hear themselves, to discover what they truly think and feel. This is a holy act. It is the foundation of all true intimacy, all true trust, and all true healing. The next time you are in a conversation, try this practice. Set a single intention to listen like a sanctuary. Make a vow to yourself that you will not interrupt. You will not formulate a response while the other person is speaking. Your only job is to be the open, empty, receptive space. Tune your awareness to the 3 channels. Listen to the words. Listen to the music. Listen to the energy. Don't try to fix anything. Don't try to offer advice unless it is explicitly asked for. Just receive. Be the sanctuary. Notice how this changes the dynamic. Notice how the other person begins to open, to relax, to deepen, and notice what happens inside of you. The sense of peace, the deep connection, the absence of struggle. When you listen in this deep, holistic way, you begin to perceive the subtle, energetic transactions that underpin all communication. You realize that speaking is an act of giving, of sending out energy, while your deep listening is an act of receiving it. You start to feel the flow. Sometimes this flow is balanced and reciprocal, a beautiful dance of giving and receiving. At other times, you can feel that the flow is imbalanced. One person may be doing all the giving, while the other only takes. Or one person may be actively draining energy from the field through incessant complaining or manipulation. This new awareness of the subtle, unseen economy of energy, the way it is exchanged, balanced, or imbalanced in every relationship, is the natural consequence of true listening. It is the next layer of reality that we must now learn to navigate. Through the practice of deep, whole-being listening, we have opened ourselves up to the subtle currents that flow between people. We have moved beyond the surface-level exchange of words and have begun to perceive the deeper transaction of energy that defines every interaction. We are now ready to explore the principles of this unseen marketplace, the fundamental economy of life force. Beneath our familiar economies of money and material goods, there is a more ancient and more important economy at play. It is the economy of prana, of chi, of vital energy. Every single interaction you have during the day, a phone call, a meeting, a casual conversation, even the reading of an email is a transaction on this unseen balance sheet. In each moment, energy is being given, received, exchanged, or taken. For most of our lives, we have been unconscious participants in this economy, left to wonder why a 5-minute chat with one friend can leave us feeling rich and expansive, while an hour with a family member can leave us feeling utterly bankrupt and depleted. The goal of this stage of our journey is to become conscious, sovereign masters of our own energetic finances. It is to learn the art of balancing our spiritual checkbook so that we may live from a place of sustainable abundance rather than constant boom and bust. The most profound metaphor for this unseen economy is the very act that sustains your physical life, the breath. The breath is a perfect model of a healthy, balanced, energetic exchange. It consists of 2 primary movements, the inhalation, or receiving, and the exhalation, or giving. One cannot exist without the other. To live, you must do both. The inhalation is the act of receiving. It is taking in the oxygen-rich air that the world offers you freely. In the energetic economy, this is your capacity to receive. It is your ability to take in a compliment with grace, to accept a gift with an open heart, to receive help when you need it, to absorb love, inspiration, and beauty from the world around you. A person who cannot receive, who deflects every compliment and refuses all help out of a sense of unworthiness or false pride, is a person who is spiritually starving themselves. They are refusing to inhale, and they will eventually wither from lack of nourishment. The exhalation is the act of giving. It is the release of your energy into the world. In the energetic economy, this is your capacity to give. It is the act of speaking your truth, of offering your help and support, of creating something beautiful from your own soul, of holding a safe and loving space for another. It is your contribution to the world, your energetic signature made manifest. A person who refuses to give, who hoards their energy, their knowledge, and their love out of a fear of scarcity, is a person who is spiritually stagnating. By refusing to exhale, they are allowing toxic energy to build up within their own system. A healthy energetic life is a rhythmic, balanced breath of giving and receiving. You inhale nourishment and you exhale your creative contribution. But there is a third, often forgotten part of the breath, the pause. Between the full inhalation and the complete exhalation, there is a moment of stillness, of integration. This is where the oxygen is absorbed into the bloodstream, where the nourishment is assimilated. In our energetic life, this pause represents the crucial act of integrating the energy we have received before we give again. It is the practice of solitude, of reflection, of allowing the love and support we have taken in to truly become a part of us. Without this pause, our giving becomes reactive and ungrounded. Now, with this model of the breath, let us look at the common archetypes we encounter in the unseen economy, the players who have forgotten how to breathe in a balanced way. First, there is the giver, who can also be known as the compulsive helper or the martyr. This person is addicted to the exhale. Their entire sense of identity and self-worth is built upon the act of giving. They are the friend who is always ready with unsolicited advice, the parent who sacrifices all their own needs for their children, the colleague who takes on everyone else's work. They are constantly exhaling, giving support, giving time, giving energy. On the surface, this can look noble, but the underlying energy is one of contractive fear. Their unconscious belief is, if I stop giving, I will have no value. People will abandon me. I must earn my place by being useful. Because they are always exhaling, they rarely leave space to inhale. They deflect compliments, refuse help, and ignore their own exhaustion. They are running on an ever-growing energetic deficit. The air around them can feel heavy with the unspoken resentment of their own self-sacrifice. Eventually they burn out. Their giving becomes tainted with bitterness, and they collapse, wondering why their endless generosity has left them feeling so empty. They have forgotten how to inhale. Next, there is the taker, who can manifest as the perpetual victim or the energy vampire. This person is addicted to the inhale. They have a deep, unhealed wound of lack within them, a spiritual black hole, and they are constantly trying to fill it with energy taken from others. Their strategy is to be in a permanent state of inhalation, constantly pulling life force from the people and situations around them. The victim archetype does this by manipulating sympathy. Their conversation is a litany of complaints, injustices, and dramas. They broadcast a frequency of helplessness that compels compassionate people to exhale their energy in the form of advice, comfort, and support. But the victim's void is bottomless. No amount of external energy can fill it. You leave the conversation feeling drained, while they have received a temporary fix. Another form of the taker demands energy through narcissism, needing constant attention, admiration, and praise to feed their fragile ego. They dominate conversations and steer every topic back to themselves, creating an energetic vortex that sucks all the oxygen out of the room. The air around a taker feels heavy, suffocating, and draining. They have forgotten that they have their own lungs, their own infinite source of breath. Then we find the trader, or the transactional person. This person understands the need for both giving and receiving, but they approach it from a place of fear and mistrust. Their breathing is shallow and carefully metered. They operate on a strict principle of quid pro quo. They keep a meticulous mental tally of every energetic transaction. I listened to your problem for 10 minutes, so now you owe me 10 minutes of listening to mine. I did you this favor, so I expect a favor of equal value in return. Their interactions lack spontaneity, grace, and generosity. While their approach may seem fair on the surface, it is deeply contractive. It is based on the fear of being cheated, the belief that the universe is not abundant, and that one must guard their resources vigilantly. There is no trust in the flow. Their breathing is controlled and mechanical, not deep and life-giving. Finally, there is the archetype we all aspire to become, the sovereign or the conscious breather. This is the person who has healed their relationship with both giving and receiving. They understand that their worth is inherent, so they can receive love and support with gracious, open gratitude. They know how to inhale deeply, allowing themselves to be nourished by the world. They also understand that they are a channel for an abundant, infinite source of energy, so they can give freely and joyously, without any thought of depletion or return. Their giving is a genuine overflow of their own fullness, not a desperate bid for worthiness. The sovereign knows the rhythm of their own breath. They know when they need to be quiet and inhalato rest, learn and receive. And they know when they have a surplus of energy to exhalato lead, create, teach, and support. They are masters of their own energetic ecosystem. The air around them feels clean, vital, and expansive. They are a nourishing presence, and their balanced breathing creates a field of trust and ease that invites others to breathe more deeply as well. To become a sovereign, you must first become a conscious accountant of your own energy. At the end of the day, review your interactions as you would a bank statement. Which conversations left you with a surplus? Which ones resulted in a deficit? Notice the patterns. This is not about blaming the givers or the takers in your life. It is about taking radical responsibility for your own energetic well-being. If you are consistently depleted by a particular person, you must recognize that you are participating in an unsustainable dynamic. The practice is twofold. If you are a giver, your work is to learn to inhale. When someone pays you a compliment, resist the urge to deflect it. Pause, breathe it in, let it land. Simply say, "Thank you." Feel the warmth of it. This is a courageous act of receiving. If you are prone to being a taker, your work is to find your own source of breath. Instead of immediately calling a friend when you feel empty, practice sitting with the emptiness for 5 minutes. Practice going for a walk in nature. Practice creating something, anything, from your own core. Learn to self-soothe and generate your own life force. As we master this conscious breathing, we open ourselves to the highest form of energetic exchange. Resonance. This is what happens when two or more sovereign individuals come together. It is a state that transcends simple giving and taking. In resonance, the energy is not just exchanged, it is amplified. It is the experience where 1 + 1 = 3. The shared field becomes a generator of new energy. You see this in a brilliant creative collaboration, a deep and trusting friendship, a profound love. Everyone involved leaves the interaction feeling more alive, more inspired, and more energized than when they began. It is the ultimate positive sum game. This is the goal of a conscious life. To participate in relationships that are not just transactional, but truly transformational. To become a sovereign, to operate from a place of resonance, you must be the master of your own energetic domain. You must be able to prevent the leaks and drains that deplete your life force. This does not mean you must build a fortress and isolate yourself from the world. That is the way of stagnation. It means you must learn the subtle, graceful, and absolutely essential art of defining where your energy field ends and another's begins. It requires the setting of clear, loving, and powerful boundaries. Having learned to consciously manage the flow of your own life force, you have become the sovereign of your inner world. You understand the balanced breath of giving and receiving. Now, you must learn to protect the sanctity of that domain. You must learn the art of the sacred boundary. For many of us, especially those conditioned as givers and people-pleasers, the word boundary is fraught with difficulty. It brings up feelings of guilt, selfishness, and a fear of conflict. We imagine a boundary as a harsh, aggressive act, a wall we build to angrily shut others out. This is a misunderstanding that keeps us energetically vulnerable and perpetually drained. A true boundary is not a wall of aggression built out of resentment. It is the sacred shoreline of your own being, defined with love and self-respect. It is not an act of pushing the world away. It is an act of holding your own center. Let us discard the image of a brick wall. A wall is rigid, hostile, and built in reaction to an attack. It is what we construct when we have already been pushed past our limits, when we finally erupt with a loud, guilty, and resentful no. A wall separates us completely. It allows nothing to pass through. It is a tool of isolation, not sovereignty. Instead, imagine your boundary as a luminous, intelligent force field, like a semi-permeable membrane of light that surrounds you at about an arm's length. This force field is generated from the core of your being, from the quiet, powerful conviction that you are enough and that your peace and well-being are sacred. It is not rigid, it is flexible and responsive. It is not opaque, it is translucent. Its function is not to isolate you, but to regulate the flow of energy. It allows love, connection, and resonant frequencies to enter with ease. But it automatically, and without effort, deflects or neutralizes dissonant, intrusive, or draining energies. A healthy boundary does not need to be aggressive. Its power is in its calm, unwavering coherence. The secret to establishing this force field is understanding that a boundary is not primarily a word you speak. It is an inner decision you make. It is a deep somatic commitment to honoring your own energy. The verbal no is merely the final, and often unnecessary, confirmation of an energetic reality you have already established within yourself. When you truly, deeply, and unapologetically decide that your time is valuable, that your energy is finite, and that your inner peace is non-negotiable, your entire frequency changes. You broadcast a new signal into the field. People who are accustomed to overstepping, to taking energy, or to manipulating others are exquisitely sensitive to this signal. They are unconsciously scanning for an energetic hook, a crack of self-doubt or guilt in your field that they can latch onto. When they encounter the smooth, coherent, high-integrity field of a person with strong, energetic boundaries, they find no purchase. They feel, on a subliminal level, that their usual tactics will not work here. There is no opening for their drama, no hook for their guilt-tripping, and so, very often, they simply move on. They don't ask for the unreasonable favor. They don't attempt the manipulative conversation. Your energetic no was felt long before a verbal one was ever required. This is why a quiet, calm no from a person with strong boundaries is infinitely more powerful than a loud, emotional no from someone whose boundaries are weak. The former is a statement of fact. The latter is a plea for mercy. So how do we cultivate this sacred force field? The process begins inside. First, you must get clear on what you are saying yes to. A boundary defined by what you are against is always weak. A boundary defined by what you are for is unshakable. You are not saying no to your friend, you are saying yes to a quiet evening to recharge your energy. You are not saying no to the extra project at work. You are saying yes to your own well-being and to the quality of your existing commitments. Frame your boundary as an act of devotion to something you value. This shifts the energy from negative rejection to positive affirmation. It gives your boundary a sacred purpose. Second, you must practice the inner declaration. This is an act of conscious, energetic creation. Take a moment, close your eyes. Visualize that sphere of luminous light surrounding you, extending from your core to about an arm's length in every direction. See it as vibrant, strong, and intelligent. Then, make a silent declaration from the depths of your being. You can use words like these. I am the sovereign of this space. My energy is my own. I am responsible for its stewardship. Only that which is in alignment with my highest good is welcome to enter. I am centered, I am whole, and I am safe. Feel the reality of these words. Feel the energy of this sphere solidifying around you. Make this a daily practice, like a spiritual hygiene. You are programming your field with the frequency of self-respect. Third, when a verbal no is necessary, learn to deliver it from this place of quiet power. A healthy no is clear, kind, and final. It does not require a long, rambling justification. Excessive apologizing and over-explaining are signals of guilt. They are cracks in your force field, an unconscious invitation for the other person to negotiate or push back. Compare the energy of these two responses. The first, "Oh, I am so sorry. I would normally love to, but I just have this other thing that came up, and it's so complicated. Maybe some other time. I feel terrible about this. This is weak." It communicates, "I don't really believe I have a right to say no." Now consider the second, "Thank you so much for the invitation. It sounds wonderful, but I won't be able to make it." Or, "I appreciate you thinking of me for that project, but my schedule is full." End of statement. The energy is calm, respectful, and unequivocal. It leaves no room for debate because it is a simple statement of your reality, delivered from a place of solid, unapologetic self-worth. It is vital to reframe the setting of boundaries as a profound act of love. It is, first and foremost, an act of love for yourself. It is the message to your own soul that you are worthy of protection, peace, and rest. It is the end of self-abandonment. But just as importantly, it is an act of love for the other person. Clear boundaries are a gift you give to your relationships. When you have weak boundaries, you inevitably say yes when you mean no. This forced yes is always tainted with the contractive energy of resentment. That resentment builds up over time and poisons the connection, leading to passive aggression and eventual collapse. A clean, honest no is infinitely kinder than a resentful, dishonest yes. It allows the other person to know exactly where they stand with you. It replaces the toxic fog of resentment with the clean, clear air of respect. It shows that you value the relationship enough to be honest within it. It creates the foundation for a real, authentic connection, rather than one based on performance and obligation. When you begin to live within the safety and integrity of your own sacred boundaries, the world ceases to be a frightening and overwhelming place. You no longer feel like you have to be in a constant state of defensive hypervigilance, protecting yourself from the demands and energies of others. You can relax. You can trust your force field to do its subtle, silent work. This newfound sense of safety allows you to observe the world from a place of centered calm. You are no longer personally threatened by the chaos, the drama, and the energy plays of the people around you. And from this secure, detached vantage point, your perception shifts once again. You stop seeing the world as a series of random personal attacks. Instead, you begin to see it as a system. You start to recognize the predictable, repeating patterns of behavior, the unconscious scripts that groups of people and families, in workplaces, in society act out over and over again. You are now ready to perceive the karma of groups. Anchored in the quiet integrity of your own sacred space, protected by the loving firmness of your boundaries, you no longer need to fear the chaotic energies of the world. You are safe. From this newfound position of centered security, you can begin to look upon the world with new eyes. You are no longer a vulnerable participant, tossed about in the storms of group emotion. You are now a calm observer, watching the weather patterns from a safe harbor. And from this vantage point, you will begin to perceive something remarkable. You will see that the chaos is not random. It is composed of repeating patterns, predictable scripts, and unconscious energetic habits that govern groups of people. Families, workplaces, and circles of friends all have their own unique energy fields, their own karmic thumbprints, their own unconscious plays that they perform over and over again. To read the air at this masterful level is to recognize the play while it is in progress, and in doing so, to grant yourself the freedom to decline your assigned role. Imagine your family or your workplace as a long-running theatrical production. The play has a title, a plot, and a very specific set of roles. When the play first began, perhaps generations ago or at the founding of the company, the original actors were cast. But over time, the actors change. New people join the family, new employees are hired. Yet, mysteriously, the play remains the same. Newcomers are unconsciously pressured and cast into the old, vacant roles, often without even realizing it. The script is so powerful, the energetic groove so deep, that it perpetuates itself through anyone who enters its field. One of the most common and powerful of these unconscious scripts is a toxic three-role play known as the drama triangle. Once you learn to see this pattern, you will see it everywhere. The three roles on this stage are the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. These roles are archetypal energies, and they need each other to survive. They are locked in a codependent, energy-draining, and endlessly repeating cycle. The first role is the victim. The victim's core belief is, I am helpless, and life is happening to me. They broadcast a contractive energy of powerlessness and complaint. They do not take responsibility for their circumstances, instead seeing themselves as oppressed and at the mercy of others. Their script is filled with lines like, poor me, and it's not my fault. Their unconscious goal is to attract a rescuer, to validate their helplessness and relieve them of the burden of action. The second role is the persecutor, who can also be called the bully or the critic. The persecutor's core belief is, I am powerful, and it's all your fault. They need a victim to blame in order to feel righteous and in control. They broadcast an aggressive, contractive energy of judgment and anger. Their script is one of criticism, control, and finding fault. They maintain their sense of superiority by keeping the victim down. The third, and perhaps most subtle role, is the rescuer. The rescuer's core belief is, I am worthy only if I am helping. They are the classic giver we spoke of earlier, but trapped within this specific drama. They need a victim to save in order to feel a sense of purpose and goodness. They rush in to offer solutions, to smooth things over, to protect the victim from the persecutor. While they see themselves as the hero, their actions are deeply disempowering. By constantly saving the victim, they reinforce the victim's belief in their own helplessness, ensuring the drama can continue. The rescuer's energy is one of anxious, contractive overgiving. This triangle is a closed, energetic loop. The persecutor attacks the victim. The victim cries out for help. The rescuer jumps in to save the victim. The persecutor then attacks the rescuer for meddling. The rescuer feels like a martyr. The victim feels temporarily saved, but remains powerless. No one grows. No one heals. Immense amounts of energy are burned in this pointless, painful drama, and the same script plays out day after day, year after year. Think of your own life. Can you see this play? At a holiday dinner, does one relative always play the persecutor, criticizing another family member, the designated victim, until a third person, the rescuer, steps in to say, now, let's all be nice. In your office, is there a manager who publicly blames a subordinate, the persecutor and victim, only for another colleague, the rescuer, to jump in and say, don't worry, I'll stay late and fix it? The specific actors may change, but the roles, the script, and the toxic, contractive atmosphere remain the same. The moment you can see this pattern, the moment you can mentally name the roles the actors are playing, you have achieved a profound liberation. You have moved from being an unconscious actor on the stage to being a conscious member of the audience. You can see the script, you can hear the predictable lines, you can feel the toxic energy being exchanged, but you are no longer identified with it. You are no longer in the play, and once you are in the audience, you have a choice that the actors do not. You can refuse to go on stage. This is a revolutionary act. When the cue comes for you to play your old, familiar role, you can simply choose not to say your line. When the victim comes to you with their litany of complaints, seeking a rescuer, you can resist the urge to offer solutions. Instead, you can empower them with a neutral question like, That sounds difficult. What do you think you're going to do? This simple refusal to rescue short-circuits the drama. You have declined your role. When the persecutor tries to engage you in gossip or criticism of the victim, you can refuse the role of co-conspirator by saying, "I'm not comfortable discussing this." You have refused to play. The other actors will try to pull you back on stage. They will be confused by your refusal to follow the script. They may accuse you of not caring or of being selfish. This is when your sacred boundary becomes your anchor. You can hold your center calmly and without judgment, knowing that you are not rejecting them. You are simply rejecting the toxic play. This act of non-participation is not one of weakness or passivity. It is an act of immense, quiet power. By refusing to add your energy to the fire of the drama, you create a point of stillness, a vacuum of sanity in the room. You become a conscientious objector in the group's karmic war. You do not need to announce your strategy. You do not need to stand up and expose the play to the other actors. They are not ready to hear it. You simply embody a different possibility. You demonstrate that it is possible to be in the same room, to be part of the same system, but not to be a prisoner of its unconscious patterns. This state of being present in the room, but not on the stage, may feel strange at first. It might feel like you are invisible or powerless because you are no longer an active participant in the central drama, but the truth is the exact opposite. By stepping away from the chaotic noise of the scripted performance, you are no longer contributing to it. Your silence, your calm, your centered and role-free presence becomes the most powerful and noticeable thing in the room. In a space filled with frantic, shouting actors, the one person sitting peacefully in the audience holds a unique and profound influence. You begin to wield a new kind of power, the power of quiet presence. By refusing to take the stage and perform your assigned role in the unconscious dramas of the world, you have stepped into a new dimension of being. You have chosen stillness over chaos, observation over participation. Initially, this may feel like a position of passivity or powerlessness. The ego will insist that power lies in the action, in the argument, in the loudest voice. Our culture celebrates the one who dominates the conversation, who drives the narrative, who makes the most noise. But this is a juvenile and deeply flawed understanding of power. We are now ready to explore a form of influence so profound, so effective, and so transformative that it requires no action at all. This is the immense and overlooked power of quiet presence. Imagine a violent storm sweeping across a landscape. The wind howls with angry words. The rain lashes down as tears of blame and accusation, and debris flies through the air as hurtful, reactive comments. In this storm, most people are like small, shallow-rooted bushes. They are thrashed about by every gust of wind, bent and twisted by the force of the emotional weather. They are caught in the chaos, their energy in a state of constant, frantic reaction. They are victims of the storm. Now, in the middle of this same field, picture a great and ancient oak tree. The oak tree does not fight the storm. It does not try to shout down the wind or stop the rain. To do so would be futile and foolish. The oak tree's power does not come from what it does, but from what it is. Its power comes from its deep, unseen roots, which are firmly anchored in the earth, in a truth that is deeper than the transient weather on the surface. This is your connection to your own core being, your knowing that you are enough. Its power comes from its solid, integrated trunk, a testament to its integrity and its sacred boundaries. And its power comes from its strong, flexible branches, which are able to sway and yield to the force of the wind without breaking. The oak tree does not resist the storm. It allows the storm to be itself, while never for a moment forgetting its own rooted, grounded nature. The presence of this oak tree fundamentally changes the environment around it. Its sheer, unshakable existence provides a reference point of stability in the midst of chaos. The howling wind is forced to part around its solid trunk, creating a zone of relative calm in its lee. Smaller creatures can find shelter behind it. Its quiet, steadfast being communicates a silent, powerful message to the entire field. The storm is temporary. The ground is firm. Stability is possible. The oak tree does not do anything to calm the storm, but its very presence calms the space around it. This is the model for your own quiet presence. To be the oak tree in the midst of the emotional storms of your family, your workplace, and the world. This is not merely a poetic metaphor. It is a description of energetic physics. Your quiet, centered presence acts as a powerful, energetic anchor in a turbulent field. When a room is filled with the high-frequency, chaotic energy of anger, anxiety, and fear, your calm, regulated nervous system introduces a coherent, low-frequency rhythm. The scientific principle of entrainment states that two oscillating systems, when placed in proximity, will tend to lock into phase and vibrate in harmony. The more powerful and stable rhythm will always influence the less stable one. Your steady heartbeat, your deep, calm breathing, your grounded, energetic field. These are the powerful, stable rhythm. The dysregulated, frantic energies of the people around you are the less stable rhythms. Without any conscious effort on your part, their systems will begin to unconsciously entrain to your peace. They will feel themselves calming down in your presence, often without knowing why. Your quiet presence is a silent invitation for their own nervous system to come home to a state of equilibrium. Furthermore, your silence in a noisy environment acts as a powerful energetic vacuum. Noise, especially the noise of frantic talking and emotional drama, is almost always a defensive act, a form of contraction. It is an attempt to control the space, to push back against perceived threats, to fill the void. Your quiet, expansive presence does the opposite. It creates a space. It is an invitation. When you sit in a meeting and listen without speaking, you are not being passive. You are creating a silent, receptive container. The other people in the room, accustomed to fighting for airtime, may at first be confused by your silence. But eventually, the emptiness you are holding becomes more compelling than the noise they are making. They may find themselves talking less, their frantic energy dissipating into the calm space you are providing. In your silence, they may finally hear the echo of their own words, and perhaps, for the first time, hear what they are really saying. Your presence gives them the unstated permission to stop performing. Consider how this manifests in real life. In a tense negotiation, while both sides are posturing, arguing, and trying to dominate, the person with quiet presence sits and listens. They are not drawn into the emotional fray. They are not hooked by the barbs or triggered by the accusations. They are simply receiving information, observing the energy, and remaining centered in their own truth. When they finally choose to speak, their words carry an immense weight. They are not reactive. They are not emotional. They come from a place of deep stillness and clarity. And very often, these few calm words cut through hours of noisy debate and point directly to the heart of the matter, fundamentally shifting the entire negotiation. Or imagine comforting a friend who is in deep pain. Our reactive, fearful conditioning makes us want to fix the pain. We rush in with a flurry of words, with advice and platitudes. Don't cry. It will be okay. You should do this. We are, in essence, communicating our own discomfort with their pain. We are trying to stop the storm because it frightens us. The person with quiet presence does something far more radical and far more healing. They simply sit with the grieving person. They offer their own steady, non-judgmental, compassionate presence as a sacred container for the other's sorrow. They don't try to stop the tears, they honor them. They don't try to fix the unfixable. They simply become the strong, silent oak tree that allows the storm of grief to rage, providing a safe and anchored space for it to finally pass. This is a profound act of love. This power, this unshakable presence, is not a technique you can learn from a book. It cannot be faked. If you try to simply act calm while your inner world is a raging storm, people will feel the dissonance. They will see the placid mask and feel the chaotic energy behind it. and this incongruence will only create distrust. True quiet presence is not something you do. It is a natural byproduct of who you have become. It is the external radiation of your internal state of being. This presence is the harvest of all the inner work we have explored. It arises naturally when you have learned to silence your inner static, so your mind is no longer at war with itself. It arises when you are grounded in your body, trusting its wisdom as your compass. It arises when you have healed your emotional triggers, so you are no longer a puppet of your past. It arises when you have dismantled the myth of not being enough, so you are no longer seeking validation from the world. It arises when your sacred boundaries are strong, so you no longer fear being overwhelmed. Quiet presence is the aroma of a soul that is at peace with itself. It is the calm, steady glow of a light that is no longer flickering. This state of being, this powerful and quiet presence, is the external manifestation of a deep inner alignment. It is the feeling of your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your energy all being in harmony with your deepest, most essential self. This state of congruence, this feeling of being whole and real from the inside out, has a name. It is the state of authenticity. The powerful presence you radiate into the world is simply the natural frequency of your own authentic being, finally allowed to shine without obstruction. The quiet presence that we have cultivated is not an empty state. It is a field of immense potency, for it is the clear and unobstructed radiation of your true self. We must now understand that this true self, this state of being we call authenticity, is not merely a psychological concept or a moral ideal. Authenticity is a frequency. It is a specific, resonant vibration that you broadcast into the universe, as real and as palpable as the note from a cello or the light from a star. And the most profound secret of a successful and fulfilling life is this: you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. You attract your own frequency. To live authentically is to broadcast a clear, powerful signal that draws to you the people, the opportunities, and the experiences that are in perfect harmony with your soul. Imagine the universe is a vast and ancient concert hall filled with an infinite number of musicians. For years, you have been trying to succeed in this hall by playing a song you think is popular. You learn the notes that get the most applause, the chords that are currently in fashion. You play with technical skill, but your heart is not in it. This is the music of your persona, the song of your mask. And because your heart is not in it, the note you produce is weak, dissonant, and lacking in power. It may attract a superficial audience that enjoys the familiar tune, but the connection is hollow. You feel like a fraud, and the applause leaves you feeling empty, because you know it is the mask, not you, that they are applauding. This is the path of trying to be someone else to get ahead. Now, imagine you make a different choice. You decide to stop playing the popular song. You turn inward and listen for the music that is truly your own. It may be a strange and unique melody, a rhythm that no one else seems to be playing. You begin to play this music of your soul. At first, it may feel as though you are playing alone in a vast, empty hall. The crowds who loved the old song may wander away, confused by this new sound. But you persist, because playing this music feels like coming home. It feels true. And because it is true, the note you produce is pure, clear, resonant, and incredibly powerful. It carries the full force of your being. This clear, authentic note travels out into the concert hall of the universe. Far away, perhaps in a distant corner of the hall, there are other musicians who have this same strange and beautiful melody in their own hearts. They have been waiting their whole lives to hear it played by another. Your clear signal cuts through the din of all the popular, inauthentic music. They hear you, they recognize the song of their own soul, and they are drawn to you not by effort, but by the irresistible physics of resonance. They find you, they take out their own instruments, and they begin to play along. And suddenly, you are no longer alone. You are part of a symphony more rich and beautiful than you could have ever imagined. This is the law of attraction stripped of all its superstition. It is the simple, elegant law of energetic resonance. Authenticity creates a coherent energy field. When you are being authentic, your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions are all aligned. They are all vibrating at the same frequency. This coherence is like a chorus of voices, all singing the same note in perfect harmony. The power is immense. The signal is unmistakable. Inauthenticity, on the other hand, creates an incoherent, chaotic energy field. Your words say yes, while your heart feels no. Your actions project confidence, while your energy broadcasts fear. Your being is a chorus of voices, all singing different, conflicting notes. The result is a weak, static-filled signal that is confusing to the universe and exhausting for you to maintain. This understanding completely revolutionizes our approach to success. The old, fear-based model of success demanded that you suppress your authentic self. It told you to contort your personality, to fit into a corporate mold, to hide your unique quirks, to say what you think others want to hear. This is the path to building a successful persona, but it almost always leads to a bankrupt soul. You may arrive at the destination with all the external markers of success, only to find that you have lost yourself along the way. The new model, the model of authentic power, proposes the opposite. It states that true, deep, and fulfilling success is the natural byproduct of your inner alignment. It is about discovering your unique frequency and then having the courage to broadcast it into the world. When you do this, your authenticity becomes the most powerful filter in your life. When you show up to a job interview, a date, or a social gathering as your true self, you will inevitably be rejected by the people, companies, and situations that are not a vibrational match for you. This rejection is not a failure. It is a sacred gift. It is the universe protecting you from wasting years of your precious life in an environment that would drain your energy and crush your spirit. Your authenticity powerfully repels what is wrong for you, so that you have the space and energy to magnetically attract what is right for you. You no longer have to strive and force and guess. Your only job is to be yourself, as fully and cleanly as possible, and then allow the law of resonance to do the work of sorting and connecting. So how do you find this authentic note? It is not a process of becoming something new. It is a process of unbecoming everything that is not you. It is the gentle, courageous shedding of the masks you have worn, the false beliefs you have carried, the conditioning you have absorbed. Your authentic self is not something you build. It is something you uncover. It has been there all along, waiting patiently beneath the layers of persona. Your compass for this uncovering is the feeling of resonance in your own body. What topics make you lose all track of time? What activities give you a feeling of expansive joy? What people make you feel like you can finally take a deep breath and be yourself? What ideas, when you hear them, make your entire being vibrate with a deep, quiet yes? These are not random preferences. These are clues. These are your soul's signposts, pointing you in the direction of your true north, your authentic frequency. Follow them. This path is beautiful. It is liberating. It is the only path to a life of true meaning. But we must be honest, it is not always the easiest path. To stop playing the popular song and to begin playing the music of your own soul requires a specific and profound form of strength. When you take off your mask, the people who were in love with the mask may become confused or angry. When you speak your truth, those who benefited from your silence may judge you. To walk the path of authenticity, to broadcast your true frequency in a world that often rewards conformity, requires the courage to choose your own resonant truth over the comfort of fitting in. It requires the courage to be willing to be misunderstood. And it is this courage that we must now cultivate. We have arrived at the edge of the sublime and resonant truth of authenticity. We have heard the music of our own soul and have understood that broadcasting this unique frequency is the key to a life of meaning and connection. But to live this truth, to consistently play this music in a world that often rewards conformity, requires us to confront the most seductive and powerful force in our lives, our deep primal craving for comfort. The path of authenticity is not always the path of ease. It is the path of courage. And at every turn, in every interaction, you will be faced with a choice, a crossroads between who you have been and who you are becoming. One path leads back to the safety of the familiar. The other leads forward into the growth of the unknown. Imagine your comfort zone as an ornate and beautiful golden cage. You have lived there for a very long time. The bars are forged from the expectations of others and the shoulds you have internalized. The interior is exquisitely furnished with your predictable habits, your familiar roles, and the consistent, if limited, approval you receive for playing your part well. Inside this cage, you are safe. You are protected from the harsh winds of judgment and the terrifying possibility of failure. The lock on the door is your fear of the unknown. For years, you have seen this cage, not as a prison, but as a sanctuary. But now your awareness has grown. You have begun to feel the vastness of the sky outside the bars. You have felt the stirring of your own wings, and you now realize that the safety of the cage is the limitation of your flight. Courage is the key to this golden cage, and fear is simply the sound of the key rattling in the lock. Courage is not the absence of fear. If there is no fear, courage is not required. Courage is the willingness to act despite the fear. It is the choice to feel the tremor in your hands, the pounding of your heart, the clenching in your gut, and to take the step anyway. It is the conscious decision that your growth is more important than your comfort, that your freedom is more valuable than your safety. This choice is not a single dramatic event. It is a moment-to-moment practice, a crossroads that appears in the most mundane of interactions. You are in a meeting at work. A familiar, comfortable path presents itself. Stay quiet, agree with the consensus. Keep your unconventional ideas to yourself to avoid the risk of looking foolish. This is the path of comfort, the path that leads back to the center of the cage. But another path appears, the path of courage. It invites you to speak up, to share your authentic perspective, to risk the momentary discomfort of rejection for the expansive growth of true self-expression. Which path do you choose? You are at a family gathering. You feel the familiar toxic script of the drama triangle beginning to unfold. The comfortable path is to fall into your assigned roletto, play the rescuer, the victim, or the silent accomplice. It is painful, but it is a familiar pain. It is the well-worn floor of your cage, but the path of courage invites you to do something new. It invites you to stay silent when you would normally rescue. It invites you to set a boundary when you would normally placate. It invites you to endure the temporary storm of confusion that your new behavior creates in order to break a generational pattern and create the possibility of a healthier dynamic. Which path do you choose? This is a crucial reinterpretation of what it means to read the air. Many people on a spiritual path misunderstand this skill. They believe it means being a perpetual peacemaker, using their sensitivity to navigate around all potential conflict, to smooth every ruffled feather, to ensure that everyone is always comfortable. This is a profound misuse of awareness. This is using your perception to make the golden cage more comfortable, not to escape it. True, high-level awareness sometimes means reading the air and recognizing that the atmosphere is built on a foundation of unspoken truths, of inauthenticity, of stagnant, contractive energy. You may sense that the peace in the room is a false peace, a fragile truce maintained only by everyone's silent agreement to not speak the truth. In these moments, courage does not call for you to maintain the peace, it calls for you to be the truth. The most compassionate and transformative act you can perform may be to introduce a clarifying disruption. It is to speak the unspoken reality with clarity and kindness. It is to be the one who says, "I feel a tension in the room," or "It feels like we are avoiding the real issue here." This act takes immense courage because it will almost certainly make people uncomfortable. It will disrupt the false peace. But it is like a surgeon's scalpel. It makes a clean cut to remove a sickness, allowing for true healing to begin. To shy away from this is to choose the comfort of the cage over the courageous, healing flight of authenticity. So how do we cultivate this muscle of courage? You do not start by trying to lift the heaviest weight. You start with small, consistent acts of bravery. Courage is built incrementally. Start by voicing a minor opinion in a low-stakes environment. Share a small, authentic feeling with a trusted friend. Set one tiny boundary this week. Say no to one small request that you would normally say yes to out of guilt. Each time you choose the path of courage, no matter how small, you strengthen the muscle. You prove to yourself that you can survive the discomfort. When you feel the physical sensations of fear, learn to reframe them. The racing heart, the adrenaline, these are not signals to retreat. They are signals that you are at the edge of your cage. They are the trumpet call announcing that an opportunity for growth is at hand. Breathe into the fear. Acknowledge its presence with respect. I feel you, fear. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. And then, take the small, courageous step forward. Connect to your why. Courage arises most powerfully when your commitment to something larger is greater than your fear. Why do you want to leave the cage? Is it for your freedom? For your soul's expression? For a more honest relationship with your loved ones? For a life of meaning? When your yes to authenticity is burning brightly, it will provide the light you need to walk through the darkness of your fear. With each act of courage, you fundamentally alter your own value system. You stop measuring the success of an interaction by how smooth, easy, or comfortable it was. You begin to measure it by a new metric. How authentic was I? How much did I honor my own truth? How aligned was I with the person I am choosing to become? You begin to value growth over harmony and truth over approval. This gradual but profound shift in what you value, in how you define a successful moment, naturally leads to a complete reevaluation of what constitutes a successful life. It is no longer about reaching a comfortable, predictable destination. It is about the quality of your being on the journey itself. The path of courage has led us to a precipice. Standing here, on the edge of our comfort zone, having chosen authenticity over approval, we are offered a new and breathtaking view. From this vantage point, we can look back at the world we came from and see the map we were given with new eyes. We can see, perhaps for the first time, that the entire frantic race we were encouraged to run, the entire definition of success we were taught to pursue, was a grand illusion. And letting go of this illusion is the final key to unlocking a life of profound peace and effortless power. This is the journey of redefining success, of shifting its locus from the external world of achievement to the internal world of alignment. Since the moment you were born, you have been handed a map. This map was drawn by your culture, your parents, your education system. It was presented to you as the one true path to a successful life. The landmarks on this map were clear and non-negotiable. Get good grades, attend a prestigious university, secure a safe and linear career, climb the ladder, accumulate wealth, acquire status, symbols, the right house, the right car, the right title. Life, according to this old map, is a game of more. It is a checklist of external achievements, and we are taught that our happiness and worth are contingent upon ticking these boxes. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will feel worthy when I can afford that house. I will finally be able to relax when I have a certain amount of money in the bank. We spend our lives on this frantic treadmill, our gaze fixed on a perpetually receding horizon of when, constantly comparing our progress to that of others, always feeling like we are falling short. This is the great, exhausting game of the persona. It is about building a successful-looking life, about winning the approval of a society that is itself lost in the same illusion. Even those who win this game, who tick all the boxes and reach the pinnacle of external success, often confess in their quiet moments to a feeling of profound emptiness, a sense of having climbed to the top of the ladder only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. They have built a magnificent, successful persona, but have starved their soul in the process. The competitive, anxious, contractive energy that blankets our world is a direct result of millions of people all trying to win this same unwinnable game. Let us now discard this old, flawed map. Let us set it on fire. The new map of success begins with a completely different premise. The old map tells you to look at the world and climb the highest, most crowded mountain because that is the one society values. Let us call it Mount More. Everyone is scrambling up its treacherous, competitive slopes, fighting for handholds, measuring their worth by their altitude. The new map tells you that this is madness. It tells you that the first act of a truly successful life is not to start climbing, but to turn away from the crowd, to walk into the quiet wilderness of your own soul, and to find your mountain. Your mountain is unique to you. Its geology, its climate, its flora and fauna are a perfect match for your authentic frequency. Its slopes are carved in a way that perfectly accommodates your unique gifts, skills, and passions. For one person, their mountain may be the mountain of conscious parenting. For another, it may be the mountain of creating music. For a third, the mountain of scientific discovery, or the mountain of building a small, ethical business, or the mountain of healing others. In the new map of the world, these mountains are not ranked by height or prestige. There is no hierarchy. The only metric that matters is the degree of alignment between the climber and their chosen mountain. The question is not, how high is your mountain, but how much of it is truly yours. When you find your mountain, the entire definition of success flips. On Mount More, success is a single, future event, reaching the summit. The climb is a miserable, anxiety-ridden struggle to be endured. On your mountain, success is not a future destination. Success is the feeling of alignment you experience in every single step of the climb. Success is the expansive joy you feel when you are using your natural talents. It is the feeling of being in flow, so engrossed in the climb that you lose all track of time. It is the deep resonance in your soul that hums, "Yes, this is my path." On your own mountain, you are successful now. You are successful in every moment that you are climbing with authentic presence. Reaching the summit is no longer the goal. It is merely a bonus, a change in perspective before you joyfully seek your next mountain. Living by this new map requires a new set of metrics. We must discard the old yardsticks of wealth, status, and power, and adopt the measures of a soul-aligned life. The first new metric is resonance. At the end of the day, you ask not, how much money did I make, but how much of my day was spent in a state of expansive flow? How many of my actions felt deeply aligned with who I truly am? The second metric is aliveness. You ask not, how much did I cross off my to-do list, but how alive and energized do I feel right now? A successful day is one that generates more vitality than it consumes. If your climb is leaving you chronically exhausted and depleted, you are likely on the wrong mountain, no matter how prestigious it may be. The third metric is courage. You ask not, did I stay safe and comfortable today? But, did I choose the path of growth? Did I dare to be authentic, even when it was uncomfortable? As we have seen, the choice for courage is, in itself, a mark of a successful day. When you adopt this new inner guidance system, your reason for reading the air changes completely. You are no longer scanning the room for personal advantage, for a way to manipulate the situation to get you further up the slopes of Mount More. Your ego is no longer driving your perception. Instead, you begin to use your awareness in service of a deeper purpose. You read the air to find opportunities for authentic connection. Resonance. You sense where the energy is stagnant and in need of a courageous, clarifying truth. Courage. You feel where a contribution of your unique, authentic energy could help a system move towards greater health and harmony, aliveness. Your perception ceases to be a weapon for your ego and becomes a tool for your soul. It becomes an instrument of service, alignment, and co-creation. And the final paradox is this: when you completely abandon the desperate, ego-driven scramble for the old version of success, the new, authentic version flows to you with an almost magical ease. When your agenda is clean, people trust you. When you are not trying to get something from every interaction, people are drawn to your nourishing, non-competitive presence. When you are broadcasting the clear, powerful frequency of your own authentic joy in the climb, the universe brings you all the guides, resources, and fellow climbers you need. You succeed not by chasing, but by attracting. This new way of being can be embodied in the archetype of the peaceful warrior. The warrior is the part of you that is disciplined, focused, and passionately engaged in the climb of life. The peaceful part is the inner state of being that is free from conflict, detached from outcomes, and rooted in the knowledge that you are already whole and complete. The peaceful warrior climbs their mountain with absolute dedication, yet they are at peace with wherever they are on the path. Their power comes not from dominating others, but from their profound and unwavering alignment with their own soul. This is the ultimate success. It is a success that cannot be measured by the world, because it is not of the world. It is the immeasurable richness of a life lived in tune with itself. This entire journey, from reading the air to finding your mountain, has been a journey inward. We have peeled back layer after layer of illusion about others, about ourselves, and now about the very meaning of a successful life. We started this journey as observers, learning to read the atmosphere around us. Then we evolved into creators, learning to write the atmosphere with our intention. Now, having redefined our entire relationship with the world, we are ready for the final, unifying truth, the one that collapses the distance between the observer and the observed, the writer and the written. We are ready to understand that we are not just in the atmosphere. We are the atmosphere. We have journeyed far. We began as unconscious inhabitants of our world, feeling the mysterious shifts in the energetic weather without understanding their source, like sailors caught in a sudden squall or a strange calm. Then, with newfound awareness, we became students of this weather. We learned to read the air. We learned to feel the subtle vibrations in the field, to see our own reflections in the mirror of others, to decode the messages of our triggers, and to understand the primal language of expansion and contraction. We learned that the atmosphere had a logic. From there, we evolved from students into artists and architects. We learned that we could not only read the air, but we could write it. We learned to use the power of our intention, the strength of our boundaries, and the courage of our authenticity to consciously influence the energetic climate around us. This has been a journey of immense empowerment, but there is one final, unifying realization to be made. There is a final layer of illusion to be dissolved. The journey from reading the air to writing the air culminates in the ultimate truth that collapses all separation. You are not a body living in the atmosphere. You are the atmosphere. For a long time, the spiritual path has been described using a powerful metaphor. You are a lighthouse keeper. Your work is to build a strong, solid tower through your discipline and practice. Your job is to diligently clean the lamp and tend to your inner flame through meditation and self-inquiry. And your purpose is to then shine that light outward into the dark and foggy sea of the world, to guide others and to navigate the dangers. This is a beautiful and useful model, but it contains one final, subtle illusion. The illusion that you are the keeper and the dark, foggy world is a separate entity out there that you must act upon. We are now ready to embrace a deeper reality. You are not the lighthouse keeper. You are the light itself. And the fog is not a malevolent, external weather condition. The fog is simply the absence of your own light. The darkness you perceive in the world is not an active force to be battled. It is simply the territory you have not yet illuminated with the radiance of your own conscious presence. Think of this. A dark room is not filled with an entity called darkness. It is simply a room where light is absent. The moment you strike a match, the darkness does not fight back. It does not argue. It simply ceases to exist in the immediate vicinity of the flame. It is replaced by the reality of light. This is the ultimate truth of your relationship with the world. You do not shine your light into the fog. By the very act of shining, the fog dissolves. It was never a real thing. It was just an unilluminated space. The chaotic, contractive, and fearful atmospheres you encounter are not powerful forces that you must protect yourself from. They are energetic vacuums, waiting to be filled with the peace, clarity, and love that you are. Your work is not to battle the darkness. Your work is simply and profoundly to be the light. Let us look back on our journey through this new and final lens. We spoke of emotional triggers. The old model says that a person out there says or does something that triggers a wound in here. The new reality reveals that the trigger is not an incoming attack. It is a part of your own atmosphere that is still in shadow, a corner of your own field that you have not yet filled with the light of your own loving awareness. The other person does not bring the darkness. Their energy simply reveals the location of a darkness that was already there, waiting for your light. We spoke of the sacred boundary. The old model sees a boundary as a force field you erect to protect your fragile self from a dangerous, separate world. The new reality understands that your boundary is simply the natural perimeter of your own luminosity. It is the edge where your light is currently shining. It is not a defense. It is a definition. The more brightly and consistently you shine, the more clear and respected this perimeter becomes, not through effort, but by its very nature. We spoke of recognizing the toxic patterns and dramas in groups. The old model sees you as an observer, watching the play from the safety of the audience. The new reality knows that you are not separate from the play. The stage and the audience are all part of the same theater. The drama is a pocket of dense, unilluminated, foggy atmosphere that you are also a part of. When you enter that space and hold your own center, radiating the light of your quiet, non-judgmental presence, you are not just watching the fog. You are a flame that has been introduced into it. You are actively, effortlessly, and powerfully dissolving the drama from within, simply by being a point of pure, undiluted light. This realization places the entire universe of your experience directly into your own hands. It is a moment of absolute responsibility, which is also the moment of absolute freedom. You can no longer be a victim of the atmosphere. You can no longer blame the negative energy of your workplace or the toxic dynamic of your family for your own state of being. The atmosphere you experience is a perfect and unerring reflection of the atmosphere you embody. The world is your mirror. If your world feels chaotic, it is because there is chaos within you. If your world feels lacking in love, it is because you are withholding love from yourself. If your world feels judgmental, it is because you are living in the energy of self-judgment. This is not a harsh sentence. It is the gospel of your own liberation. It means that you do not need to wait for the world to change. You do not need anyone else to behave differently for you to be at peace. You hold the single master key to reality creation in every moment. If you wish to live in a world of peace, your work is not to run around trying to calm everyone else down. Your work is to find the unshakable peace within your own heart. Be peace, and you will live in a peaceful world. The parts of the world that are not peaceful will simply not be able to exist in your immediate atmosphere. If you wish to experience a world of love and connection, your work is to be a radiant source of unconditional love, first for yourself and then as a natural overflow to others. Be love, and you will find love everywhere. The journey is complete. The lessons have been integrated. The path of reading the air, of writing the air, has led you to this final, simple, and infinitely profound truth. Your work is no longer to learn, to analyze, or to strategize. Your work is now simply to embody, to be the sun, not the candle, to be the oak tree, not the bush, to be the light, not the lighthouse keeper. Your presence is your power. Your being is your gift. You are the atmosphere. Go now and create your world. And so, we arrive at the end of the words and the beginning of the work. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel it enter your body, this anchor to the present moment, this carrier of life. Feel the stillness that follows the breath. This is the space where the journey truly begins. We started by looking out at a world of solid objects and separate people, a world of friction and noise. We learned to quiet the mind and listen deeper, to hear the silent music playing beneath the spoken words. We saw our own souls reflected in the mirror of others, and we found our most profound teachers in the heart of our deepest triggers. We learned the courage to be authentic, the power of clear intention, and the supreme grace of letting go. We traveled from being a victim of the world's atmosphere to a student of it, and then to an architect of it, only to arrive at the final, liberating truth, that we are the atmosphere itself. All of this learning, this entire journey of 20 steps, now condenses into a single simple truth, a mantra to carry not in your mind, but in your very bones. Let it be the compass that guides you from this moment forward. Do not try to read the room. Be the stillness that allows the room to reveal itself. Your presence is your power. Your awareness is your success. This audiobook is not a destination. It is a doorway you can walk through in any moment. It begins now with your next conscious breath. It begins in your next conversation, your next silence, your next choice between the comfort of the cage and the courage of the open sky. Step back into your life not as a frantic reader trying to decipher a difficult text, nor as an anxious writer trying to force a narrative upon the world. Step out simply as you are, the stillness, the awareness, the light. Let your presence be the answer to every question you have. Let it be the solution to every problem you face. Let it be the single, calming, resonant note in every chaotic symphony. Let your being be your gift to the world. It is, and has always been, more than enough. Be still and listen.